I mean, that really is the biggest question of what really constitutes it. If it just stops,
Mm-hmm.
well, you know what? No, I guess that would be analogous with the bullshit that the flat earthers have been pushing for a while.
So
Did
it's almost as
anybody
bad as. All right, go ahead.
did anybody catch Professor Dave's new video this morning?
Oh yeah, I saw that one. That was good.
Oh no,
That was beautiful.
no, I missed it this morning. This morning on the drive to work, I was actually listening in on Terry Davies, the Aussie perspective, and apparently, some people seem to think that just because I show up and they change their behavior, it's my fault.
Well, you do
Okay.
tend to smack them around a bit, so I mean,
Hey, all I did was make a comment about what the panel was talking about. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if my name just simply shows up and someone's behavior changes because of that, that's very much a them problem, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm not insane.
No.
But
typing a name into chat, Jared. Am I right in thinking of who it is?
oh no, no.
Oh,
No, because it's even worse.
I
Because
think we should. I think we should let people know though about what's up on the screen.
oh well, it's also a question of whether or not people have read the description, which is a continuation of the title. Because oh boy, and here's the kicker. As we can see here, this I just posted what about a not quite an hour ago,
Yeah.
and that wasn't even what caught my attention to think of, oh boy, we can have some fun talking about this.
Oh boy.
Oh, do you have another link for me to share?
Well, no, it's a video that I'm sure you've probably already watched today there, Jay. Who else here follows Sinatra Says?
You know, I have not watched his video from today.
You haven't? Oh,
Oh.
are you in for a treat?
Now, I generally agree with Sinatra. Am I gonna hate him for this video?
Oh no. Oh
Okay.
no. Because here's the thing. So for those of you out there who haven't caught on, Jay and I we don't exactly see eye to eye when it comes to where we fall on the political spectrum, but there are some things that we do agree on, and I think this would be one of them.
Well, I'm gonna go look up the title at least and see what it.
Yeah, go pull up the title because this will be I I'm surprised you didn't make the time to watch it or have it playing so you could listen to it just based by the title alone.
I missed it
That was
today.
what, about 8 hours ago, right?
Yep. No, it would have been a little longer, but yeah, it was today.
Almost
Oh yeah,
like what?
no. I get the email notification for him. So
Almost like what Marvel Girl posted yesterday. That was funny.
There's been a lot of humor from that side of things.
okay, where did it go?
I don't know, but I will love him and pet him and name him George. Okay, so what? This is another thing, the kind of day that I've been having. Random things I've been following up with
Oh,
song lyrics references or quotes from comedy shows.
Oh, dear.
It's been one of the two.
okay, Jared. I'm gonna. Oh, I really should have watched this.
I told you.
What was the title?
Shall I read the title out?
Go for it.
Leftists at WAPO wants to give elites more power over us. I should bring up my the grade for my final paper.
Well, considering that that all the leftists want Bernie.
Oh
You
no. Oh no.
Oh. You need to
No.
watch Freedom Tunes.
Oh God. Oh, you wished. You are behind, because here's the thing. They don't want Bernie in office. And that's actually part of the apparent source for the Washington Post article that Sinatra read and went through some interesting excerpts over, because in there it tried to say that the Republicans were the party of the rich, while at the same time advocating a wonderfully drastic change to the primary system for the elections in the US.
All right, Jared, I'm going to swap over to a new tab.
Go for it.
This is my paper on the Electoral College. Or this is the graded response for it, anyways.
Mm. Along with being well researched and exceptionally organized, it's also very well written. Also, you did a terrific job of providing an in-depth analysis from both sides of the issue. There's often a misconception that the best way to argue a paper is to just talk about your own opinion. However, by laying out both sides of the argument, as you did, it makes for a much more persuasive case. Overall, great job!
Woohoo!
Yeah, that was a...
Oh my goodness. Oh my. I like what Steve posted earlier.
So,
What did Steve post earlier?
About 38% of Americans won't buy
Oh, yeah.
Corona beer. That's funny.
oh,
Because of
oh, take a wild guess what the sample size was.
200.
Close.
150?
Other direction.
250.
373.
oh yeah, the Gallup poll. Okay, got it. I haven't clicked on the link yet.
Yeah.
Wait,
Let's
Gallup
take
did a 3... They're usually better than that.
Look at the topic, though.
I know.
But anyway, so back to the Sinatra thing in the Washington Post. Oh. So, okay, let's start out with the way the system is currently set up on how it's supposed to operate.
Oh, I don't have my ballot with me. I got my primary coming up in a week or two.
Nice.
Oh no, it's even better. The primary lists all the Democrat candidates, and for the Republican side of it, Donald Trump. That's it.
Well, yeah, because they're not running a Republican primary.
Oh no, even better though is if I vote for both a Republican and a Democratic candidate, my ballot is invalid.
What?
Yeah, Washington is one of those states that
That's bullshit.
you can only do one.
You can only vote for one party.
Yep.
Oh, man, that sucks.
So, with the current average, the typical primary system in the U.S., the way it is all the candidates of a single one of the parties go around campaign in each state to try to win the primary nomination from that state. Well, Bernie has been doing better than some people of the Democratic persuasion have wanted him to.
Mhm.
So guess what that has led them to think of? Hey, instead of doing a popular vote in each state for the primary for who would get the nomination from that state, and then the most populous one of the states is the one who gets the nomination, well, screw that. We're just going to go purely with the superdelegates and those people to make the decision on who is the best candidate for the people. But we will let the people actually vote on what their preference is and what issues matter to them, and take it under consideration when determining who is the best candidate to put forward for the Democratic Party.
Interesting. Another topic for later tonight. I'll send you a link to it here in just a second, Jared.
So yeah, think about that. They want to essentially set up an oligarchy instead of a representative republic.
So what you're saying is that they want Russia, not the constitutional U.S. Got it.
No, ultimately they don't want Bernie, is what it comes down to.
Yeah.
No, I know ultimately they don't want Bernie, but at the same time, they're basically wanting it to run much more like the Russian democracy, and I'm doing air quotes there, than our constitutionally held democracy. By the way, I sent you the link on Discord, Jared.
Okay. Now, again, keep in mind these are people. The Democrats say that we're the party of the impoverished and the working poor and the working man, and the Republicans are the party of the rich people. Anyone want to take a guess of the lowest net value of any of the candidates for the Democrats nomination that are left in the running? Just take a guess of the lowest net worth.
I think it was like 4.8 million.
Yeah.
I think that actually belonged to Gabbard.
Yep. And you have someone like Bloomberg getting legitimate thought as a potential candidate. Are these people really this fucking stupid?
Jared, let me bring your attention to the National Popular Vote Compact. And it has now, let me see here, I think last I saw 196. Yeah, 196 out of 270.
Wow. And you know what? Sean Carroll does have the best question of all. Okay, DNC, do you really want to win? It is a fair question.
Yeah, but Fred Knoss has the right answer to it.
Doesn't care about winning as long as rich money continues to flow into them. Politics in general.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really, you gotta realize that everybody there is just at the political level. At least most of the people are just operating in the sense that if you realize that their goal is whatever gets them the most.
Oh yeah. Bring up that tweet again.
How that changes just depends on how a particular issue affects them and getting that.
Now I gotta go find it again.
Well, it's funny you mention that, Tech, because the person that I sent a wonderful tweet to an hour ago quite literally said that kickbacks are a thing because I'm only paid $175,000 a year. And that if we're not allowed to vote for our own pay raises, then the backdoor deals and extra financial cash flow that politicians currently get is going to keep happening. Mind you, this is also someone with a degree in economics who quite directly said the reason why the unemployment rate has dropped is because people are working 2 jobs.
Oh, speaking of which, I got $26 in an hour yesterday. My second job.
Actually, the reason the unemployment rate's dropping is people are processing out of the system. So
Yep.
It's not really. The unemployment rate's a very, very bad indicator of how actual productive the country is.
It is.
True, but at the same time, just saying the unemployment rate is also misleading and potentially disingenuous marker as well, because, well, which portion of the unemployment numbers are you actually looking at? Because at one point, the unemployment number that they were citing, which I think was the U3, the percentages dropped, and the reason why it had dropped was because of the number of people who quite literally gave up looking for a job and decided to declare themselves as retired. So, yeah, even just the pure unemployment numbers can be easily used to mislead the audience that you're talking to.
Yeah. That's why the best thing is talk about like participation rate. But of course, nobody up there is going to mention the participation rate.
Oh, no.
No one wants to talk about that.
I mean, why would they?
Yeah. Because those numbers don't look good.
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's, and the participation rate actually didn't change in this time because the people who started self-reporting as retired, because they were still considered of an age that they should be able-bodied enough to work full-time, but had chosen not to, they stayed in that employable but not employed group that the utilization figure actually counts.
Exactly.
You mean there's ways to game the system? Holy shit.
Who'd have thunk?
Wait, you mean statistics are easily manipulated depending on what you're trying to get them to say? No!
Ew. That's disgusting.
True, Fred. Obama did see a greater drop in overall unemployment than Trump by percentage, but at the same time, which number are we talking about? Because, by the way, that change due to people quite literally giving up and not looking for a job, that's what happened during during Obama's administration. I want to say it was year 5? Yeah, towards the end of year 5.
To drop off.
Yeah.
That's when people were starting to drop off out of the system anyways. Plus, I mean, why bother looking for a job if nobody's going to hire you?
Oh, well, okay, I kind of laugh at this one, but it doesn't surprise me, and at the same time, yeah, it's not exactly a good measure, but at the same time, technically it's not wrong. Trump's people actually counted the auto workers coming off strike as getting employed. It's not wrong, because if you're part of a union and you go on strike, technically you're unemployed.
Yep, I can actually claim unemployment benefits while I'm on strike.
Yeah, now there's a whole bunch of tape and caveats and everything that have to be added on from there. I have to manage
how much time I'm working on the picket line and how much I'm getting paid through them. Yep. Not worth my time, but the extra money would be nice.
Well, my nephew's dad works for GM in Arlington when they went on strike, and it really hit him kind of hard because he wasn't prepared for that to actually occur. It had been a while since they'd actually seen a strike, but he did collect unemployment benefits, and he got his strike wage.
Yes, you do get to collect both. It's just your unemployment benefits are comparable to your wages that you get at through striking. So it's it's just like if you have a part-time job when I first, well, not first, my second unemployment stint where I was collecting unemployment benefits, there was a period of time where I was working part-time, but I was only working like 20 hours a week. So I still got almost my full benefits for unemployment. However, once I started getting up 30 something hours, they started tapering back how much I was actually getting in my benefits. So
yeah, it's interesting how different states manage that in different ways. But there's so much deviation and everything there. And yeah, a couple more comments from the live chat. Fred Fred Knotts, remember, Obama extended unemployment benefits several times. That he did, and given the situation, I don't fault him for that. I don't hold that against him.
No, because I
But
benefited from it.
but
It
then,
actually kept the unemployment rate up.
yeah, it kind of hurt him in that aspect. But at the same time, ultimately, it gave his view and the historical analysis of his presidency a little bit of a nudge in the positive direction because, hey, look, he's actually caring about the people in a way. But then Red Leader followed it up with, Obama also led the slowest economic recovery since the Depression. Again, factually accurate.
Sean Carroll has a question for you there, Tech.
Yes.
Massive fucking thing.
Mhm.
Democrats are ignoring a gold mine in popular shift by not giving the frontrunner their due. Given that conclusion, this is why I feel politics needs a complete rewrite. Oh, Sean. Oh, there was quite the conversation that took place, I think, a week ago. Yeah, it was either last week or the end of the week before on Twitter between myself, Helios 575, and one other person where we were... Actually, it was... someone had posted a analysis and correction of the most common criticism against Bernie Sanders. And while I agreed that criticizing the criticism of Bernie for using numbers that were in many places overinflated was credible. However, Bernie's campaign really needs to stop saying that economists actually say that his plan for a nationalized single-payer healthcare system is actually fiscally responsible and possible. Because the reports that they keep wanting to point to, the authors of those reports across the board have come out and said, no, that's not what our report actually says. You need to stop saying that.
Oh, you mean people are misquoting and misciting reports?
Oh,
That
no.
never happens.
Oh, no, at this point, they're just outright lying about it. And that... And of course, during that, we ended up going to the topic of how I really do not see a candidate that I can ethically, morally, or intellectually support at this point, because I don't see one that is even close enough to clean for me to consider giving my vote to at this point on either side. Which is why some of the supporters on the Democratic side of the coin here and what they've been saying pushed me to make my how did I term it, my asshole take of the day.
So
That was a fun one too.
so speaking of asshole takes and whatnot, Chess posted something on Wednesday. Guys, read this thread, bizarre as fuck, from Chelsea Hoffman, CH profiler.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read the thread, it is totally just like, well, she says, bizarre as fuck. But I came in and commented on Helios 575 and Chesh's thread. And I think I make a good point here. It is their way of being media without having the ethical standards of journalists with a journalism degree have to adhere to. It's almost like ethics is not a thing in society anymore. And it piqued my interest. So, I pulled up the Society of Professional Journalists and their code of ethics, which is what journalists are supposed to follow.
Yep.
Okay. And I was reminded that at one point I have this screenshot where Unirock has this. I was all excited to post the link to his Twitter and tag UniRach in there as well. But then I saw that he's updated. No more reporter. Although I could technically get him on host and producer if I really wanted to, but semantics at that point.
Yeah.
But I Helios and I agree on the whole thing, but I think he was missing my point is that as a society, we actually are allowing these people to voice their opinion as if they are journalists in the media, and they're not using the same ethical standard. We're not holding them to the responsibility that
That comes
everybody
along
else
with
would
it.
have. Yeah.
So funny enough, in that conversation about not seeing a candidate that I deem as having earned my vote at this point, we actually got onto the topic of essentially a clean sweep of the federal elected positions, like an actual de facto hard reset. And they were a little worried about it and were like, "You realize what you're saying, right?" I was like, "Yeah, I know. But here's the thing. Okay, take the emotional side out of it and rationally and realistically look at how the nation as a whole, in totality, the way it has been performing, acting, and behaving, both societally and legislatively, over the last 30 years. Just go back to 1990 until now.
So, Jared, you know
We're
the
not
political
sustainable. We're not sustainable like this.
So
Something has to change.
You know the political stance of a channel called Freedom Tunes, right?
Yes.
Tell me, is there something wrong with this ad being played there?
Oh, that is fucking hilarious.
Oh God.
Oh, that.
But they don't get to control which political party advertises on their channel.
No, I know. I just find the irony of it all is just great.
Well, it's like all the times that you get advertisements for Christian book clubs and whatnot when you go and watch a video on Dark Matter 2525's channel. So,
yeah.
You get conflicting messages there. But so Tech, I know you're already seeing where I'm going with this one. Mm-hmm. What ancient civilization does a similar slow decline into appease the mob and then do whatever the fuck you want otherwise? Ring a bell to.
I might have a video reference for that. Hold on.
That would be Rome.
Yeah. I started calling it in the mid to late 90s that, holy shit, America has become the modern age Western Roman Empire.
Well, there is a book out there that was written 35, 40 years ago that points that out. And if I knew what book it was, if I could remember that, I'd tell you. But it talked about how Rome declined, and it drew the parallels to it. Their farming industry failed, and their political system failed.
Look, it's Trump. It's even got orange hair.
Wow. Okay.
Sorry, I could not resist.
Oh, that is beautiful.
But you look at it now, and you're seeing the farmers fail, and the political system fail, which is perpendicular to what happened to Rome.
Well, and here's the thing: is a lot of people don't realize with the way the Constitution was written, is everybody thinks that it's supposed to be this perfect democracy, and it was never meant to be a democracy. It's meant to be a republic that's based on a democratic process.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a like representative republic.
Yeah.
What they call it a constitutional republic or something like that?
Representative republic.
That's it. Thank you.
And you add a constitution, that's where a lot of people term it as a constitutional republic, because it really was set up as a republic in not too dissimilar from that of Rome, but without the wealth aspect being the requirement for senatorial office.
Yeah. But what I was trying to get at is people seem to think that it is that the president represents the people of the United States. No, he doesn't. He represents the states.
Yeah.
And you try to explain that to people, and they're just like, but I vote for him. It's like, no. You vote for your state's electors to vote for said candidate. Now,
Exactly.
your vote might tally for the elector that votes for the president or that you wanted, or your vote might not count and they go with the other electors. Sucks to be you.
Yeah. It's like the state I'm in. I I'm outnumbered in philosophy when it comes to voting because the Democratic Party does have a strong foothold in New England on average
Yes.
by population, simply because, well,
The Kennedys.
not just the Kennedys. I mean, even since then, your major metropolitan areas tend to lean towards the Democratic Party as it's currently constituted post 1960s, simply because of what the party historically has stood for. And a lot of what the Democratic Party, again, historically has stood for was most effective in your major metropolitan areas, in your population centers. And the historic, now historic stances that the Republicans have stood on was always more catering towards your middle America, your more rural, your more independently and fiscally conservative types of people, which is where you get that wonderful mix. And when you look at the size, scope, and diversity, not just of the people in the US, but the regions and areas that they live in and how their day-to-day life actually functions, there is a reason why the Electoral College was set up, and to date has only been an issue twice. Or is it 3 times? It's only 2 or 3 times.
No. The Electoral College voting out against the popular vote has been 5 times, counting the last one. You have the 1824, where it actually went all the way to the House specifically
To figure it out.
where you get the corrupt bargain, where Andrew Jackson won the majority of the electoral votes, but not enough to win, and he actually held the popular vote too, and ended up losing because of a deal between John Quincy Adams and Henry Clay, I believe is who it was. Second was
granted, I do kind of throw that one out because when you look at it, you did have the tri-party system actually at play then. But after that, yeah, Fred had it right. Of what is seen more as your traditional modern, your two dominant party system, it's been the 3 times. Now, yeah, go ahead.
2016, 2000. Technically, they're trying to go back and revisionize the Kennedy-Nixon election because apparently Alabama was all screwed up. But we'll throw that one out.
Yep.
You have 1888 and 1880, which were both 2 parties, I believe, if I remember my research correctly.
Yeah,
So
notice
that's 4.
Yeah, but if you notice, the only times that it was really complained about, which party was it that lost?
Yeah, I know which one you're going for.
Kind of a trend there. It's almost like one side can be mature. It's like, okay, yeah, we may have had that slight edge on the popular vote, but them's the breaks. We'll get you next time.
Didn't I come up with the Oh yeah, there it is. I texted you the percentage on Discord, didn't I? Of the 58 presidential elections that we've had since the start of the constitutional era, we have had 8.62% of the elections not conforming to the popular vote. 8.62.
Yeah, which I just did rough math in my head at the time, and it was like, yeah, 5 out of 58.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Electoral College is not the issue here. But
To be fair, though, you got to remember too, the GOP is kind of misnamed.
yeah, they're all misnamed. And seriously, why the donkey and the elephant?
Thank you, Robert Nast.
Oh, fucking hell. But so a couple comments from the live chat. Anamorphic Mind, Meteor for President 2020? I could be convinced. And from Sean Carroll, it should be noted that the Founding Fathers warned against political parties. I agree, and the Founding Fathers, if you actually read the works that they actually legitimately wrote around the time of the forming and the initial implementation of the Constitution and what we are living under now, they also saw public service in that way as an actual sacrifice, as a you were expected to leave your personal affairs aside, let them take care of themselves while you go help be a voice for the people that you are elected to support on the larger scale, and it not be a profession in and of itself. Red Leader.
Here's a link to where you can buy one set of those documents.
Nice.
The Federalist Papers.
Yep.
On Amazon.
From Red Leader, term limits for Congress would be a great start. Having McCain cast nation-altering votes as an elderly man with a brain tumor is not how shit should be done. I'm sure there are many other examples. Strom Thurmond, anyone?
Yeah. I thought he was still sitting there. I don't think they ever removed the corpse.
Probably.
Even better, Jared?
I think it's actually a cast bronze that you see as Strom Thurmond. But
the complete Anti-Federalist and Federalist Papers is the second link that I posted in
honest,
the chat.
Nice.
To be honest, I think you'd have a higher chance of like getting Congress to, abolish like death as a limiting factor to terms and get a term limit imposed.
I'm actually really surprised that my congressman is actually retiring from politics.
Well,
I think he sat through all those behind closed doors meetings on the Trump Russiagate bullshit. That he's just like, okay,
fuck this, I'm done.
Pretty much, because he kind of towed party line a bit, but he didn't outwardly denounce it either. So it's like, it's like you could tell he's conflicted by it. But I'm just like, yeah.
He saw issues with the process, and he recognizes that he himself cannot change the process to the better and return it to what it was. So better to distance himself. I can see that being a viable option. Hey, Bernie, that should be a clue.
I don't know who this is and why I'm following them, but they have a great image on Twitter right now.
I have another issue with the office of president, how it's changed too, because our president is becoming less of a president and more of an autocrat as time goes on.
Oh yeah.
We keep taking away more checks and balances to the system and giving more powers.
Like, executive orders are being used far more liberally than they were ever intended to be. Actually, does anyone know what the original purpose of the executive orders was actually set up as?
No.
Actually, it was originally just set up to give, basically what it says, orders to the executive branch, just to kind of define, how a particular thing would be carried out by offices within that branch. Oh,
not even just that. There's an even more basic one that actually is what helps spur it to become a legitimate thing. To give the First Lady a way to ensure that her ideas on redesigning the aesthetics of the White House were actually implemented. It started quite literally as orders to housekeeping around the White House. Which then went into that whole, well, to really make it not be so limited in that bit, okay, it's just orders for daily operations of the new administration. Now it's being, well, Congress doesn't want to listen to me, so I'll just do this anyways. That's not what it was intended for. Not even freaking close.
Right
So
there, like, of the all the stuff problems we have, that's the one that scares me the most.
Oh, this one doesn't scare you?
Oh, the War Powers Act. Well,
You know, when a president is willing to veto a bill that gives him more power, you might be going too far in giving up your own powers.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of
Well,
that's part of the problem. We've handed more and more power over to it, but it's like it's at the point now. It's like, okay, what would happen? Like, what would happen, for example, if Trump decided to violate the War Powers Act?
Oh God. Well, hang on. Bring that back up. But there's a detail there that really needs to be stressed, though.
I mean, we got a Congress that doesn't bring him to account for any. We have a congressional system combined with a Senate that doesn't really bring him to account with anything.
Oh, because they're afraid they're going to lose their jobs.
Hang on. Look at which president it was that vetoed the act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same one who sent up the EPA.
Sorry, but when Tricky Dick is saying, no, that's too far, you got a problem.
I mean, I can't imagine why, but you know.
Well, let's face it. What is the why would Congress pass the Wars Power Act? The reason being was because at the time, of course, all the Vietnam shit going on, they didn't want to bothered with any of that. That means they have to work more.
Well, yeah. Honestly, what it was is, here's what I see as more of a legitimate reason intellectually why they would actually push it through anyways like that, is because they wanted that in place so they could deflect a lot of the backlash directly onto the president instead of taking the blame themselves.
You know what we should do to actually get shit done? We should take away congressional salaries and put them in hourly work.
Oh, but no overtime.
Make the fuckers work by the hour. Then they'll actually start showing up and doing shit.
Well, and here's another thing to just add on top of it. Anytime they want to institute a pay raise to their pay scale, it's not voted on by them. That has to go to a special general election for the fucking public to vote on it. Because ultimately, who are supposed to be their bosses? Who are they ultimately supposed to be responding to when it comes to accountability for the job that they're doing?
I'd agree with that. Pay raise by public referendum.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I'd be behind that.
You mean like this amendment right here, the 27th Amendment? No law varying the compensation for services of senators and representatives shall take an effect until an election of representatives shall have been intervened. So they can increase their pay, but that doesn't go into effect until the next session.
Yeah.
As if that means anything.
Yeah.
Term limits and shit.
No, I agree. They
Lack
definitely need
thereof.
the term limits.
Now
It's so nice having this site linked so easily.
Now, there is a question from a little further back in the live chat that I wanted to set aside, and don't worry, Fred, I didn't miss it. It's just bringing it up timely. So with this slant, with this view on the topic, I think this could be rather interesting. So I haven't given any thought to the question yet. I just saw the beginning of it and I was like, I'll put it to you guys to answer first. As military people, is it fair to create more debt for military spending but demanding Medicare for all for itself. I guess that's to pay for itself.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't trust any Medicare for all system because it's going to be run just like the VA. So, yeah, just that
Actually, it
thought
might even
alone.
be arguably better. I don't know.
No, because they're going to just get the VA to administer it. Do you really think the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid really want to deal with that? I don't think so.
Well, there's that, and there's a second part to that as well. With the number of people that are currently on Medicare, they're already having administrative control issues. Now, add on top of that, if you have Medicare as your primary health coverage, guess what else you need?
Oh, so you need Medicare A, Medicare B, Medicare C, Medicare D. Oh, you don't need C. You need D, though.
Yeah, it's called supplemental coverages because Medicare by itself does not cover everything. Not. So, here is the interesting bit. Now, if you were to do the progressive tax that Bernie has put out there, and if you start it at the pay rate that he is saying, where if you make more than $29,000 a year, keep that number in mind, $29,000 a year. If you make more than that, you would be taxed going directly into paying the Medicare for all.
Yeah.
The upper echelons, the upper tiers, so your people who are making $1 million a year or more would be taxed at near or at 100%. And even with all of that, a national single-payer healthcare Medicare for all would only be fiscally sustainable for up to 3 years.
Yeah, that doesn't.
Yeah, 3
doesn't
years of
surprise
it.
me.
Now, to the heart of the question of that whole thing, I am very much against any and all governmental debt across the board. Doesn't matter where it's coming from. To me, it is remarkably irresponsible to expect a legislature to run at a deficit. If you cannot support the programs that you want to do with the funding that you are actually receiving, I'm sorry, but you can't do all the programs. It's one or the other. It's either you're going to be able to pay for everything, which is going to, for all the programs as they're currently constituted and planned and projected out to be, to have everything fully funded, the economy would collapse because the bulk of your working public would be taxed at such a ridiculous amount that moving to a country that has a 50% income tax for your middle class would be preferable.
I'll be your PR rep. How about that?
Holy dude, you're gonna have such a hard time in that job. Let's admit it now.
Oh, I know I will, but at the same time, I know what the standard canned answer will be. Go fuck yourself. Have you been talking to Flurfs again?
Yeah. Kitty, come on.
If you want an answer to that question, go talk to the TST crowd. They'll give you whatever you want. I've got it pretty much down now, don't I?
You're getting there. I guess here's the thing. I have considered it. But I also recognize with the way the political landscape is, with what it takes to get into politics, I have a huge hurdle in front of me. I don't play well with stupid.
Nice, Tech. Nice.
You like that
yeah,
one?
yeah, I saw that one.
Kitty, we're playing.
And
Get it.
but it's funny that you say that and you suggest it anamorphic because
Oh, I've been considering it here.
technically speaking, I fit all the minimum requirements to run for the presidency.
So do I.
We need
Very
to find
tempted.
someone. We need to find somebody to be president who absolutely does not want the job.
And
That's just it. I don't want the job,
and
but I would willingly take it if elected.
And you know what? That right there is another thing that I wanted to mention from the founding fathers era. George Washington didn't want the job. The whole campaign for who was going to be the first president wasn't a campaign of the public to say, hey, who of these guys do you want in office? No, it was the public and the people who were in governmental positions campaigning Washington himself to get him to accept the job.
That's what I think is ultimately the problem. Is the person who's the best person to lead is the person who's least likely to want the job.
Yep.
Yeah, like I don't want to deal with a lot of the bullshit that's around there, but people still bring it to me. But,
Yeah, like I said, I've been toying with the idea. I have until May to come up with the money to do it, at least to get my name on the ballot. But I'm tempted to run for my local Congress district.
I'd start at the city council level first.
No, because I'm going to be going up against a soy boy delivery driver that wants to be a progressive like Bernie. I just might as well jump in and start swinging, so to speak.
Yeah.
I don't want it. I'm just gonna sit over here and vote for whoever I.
Are we going to call?
Yes,
Are
like-
we going to have to start calling Jay Brown New Hickory? We've already had Old Hickory. Are we going to have to call Jay Brown New Hickory?
No, but whose take on if I was able to publicly go out and actually run for the office, I'd be interested in hearing. Pro-lib.
I don't know. Okay, let me pose this question to you guys, hypothetically. Okay? Actually, not hypothetically. Actually, who you would want to hear from the past. Okay? Prior to 1970. If you could go back in time to listen to any orator, political figure orator, who would you want to go listen to and why?
you know,
Tough one, actually.
I've actually
wait.
thought,
Back,
I actually have one that I would want to go listen to.
wait. Back to what year?
From 1970 back.
Oh, 1970 and older.
Yeah.
To be honest, I would like to go hear a presentation and speech directly given by Kennedy. JFK.
Oh, where is it?
You know who I would wanna
And
go hear?
Eisenhower is a close second.
You know who I would want to go hear? And I have a particular speech in mind. Right? Would be Sam Houston.
I'm gonna
Okay.
throw you all for a loop.
The speech was in 1859. Have any idea what that speech topic covered?
Oh, it is precursor to the Civil War, so it was actually knowing where
It was a
Sam
particular,
Houston.
it was a particular act that Sam Houston was against because he said it would do exactly what it did.
Yeah, it was the Missouri Compromise, if I
No,
remember
it was
right.
It was the Kansas-Nebraska Act.
That yeah.
Missouri Compromise was 1820.
Now I knew it was
Clarence
related to
Darrow.
that whole designation of the states thing because um, even though I haven't lived in Texas, and I still know the name Sam Houston. For those who don't pay attention, there's actually a military installation that bears his name, as well as a university, as well as Central Texas. He's kind of known.
Well, if you go north of the Woodlands, which is north of Houston on I-45, there is a big, huge white granite statue of Sam Houston.
Yep.
And on it lists some of his better known speeches. You know, but here's the funny thing. Of the founders of Texas, okay, Austin, Houston, those two guys, they both held the same job at different times.
41 for.
They were both state senators.
Yeah. So Jay actually pulled up the boomer that was named after him. That was part of the 41 for Freedom. I'm trying to remember, was that a Washington or Lafayette class?
I think this one was a Lafayette class because the Washington, I think, was a standalone. If I remember correctly, it was the Washington was basically built to show that it is possible, and then they derived the Lafayette class from there.
I can hardly differentiate them. There were two of them still in service when I was in. You know,
As a matter of fact, the Lafayette, I think, was decommed up at Bangor.
Well, you also got to remember one of the first boat that I knew the name of that my dad was stationed on, the Stimson.
The Sam Houston was an Ethan Allen class.
That was the other one. Yeah.
Which other one?
Well, no.
So this is the one I would want to listen to.
Well, no, because I remember the three of the classes. But yeah, especially the Ethan Allen and the Lafayette's, those were the two that visually I could never differentiate between the two.
Actually, you had the George Washington by itself, Ethan Allen, the Lafayette, the James Madison, and the Benjamin Franklin class. So there are 5 different classes in that group. And really, pretty much the only one I can really differentiate is the Benjamin Franklin, personally, visually, class.
Now, that was the one that essentially was the precursor to the Ohio, right?
Yeah, it was the one right before the Ohio. But I mean, their fair water planes were in a distinctively different position than the rest of them.
Yeah. So, from the live chat, we've had Red Leader say Eisenhower, which it'd be interesting to actually be in person for a speech of his. Someone also, Anamorphic Mind, said FDR. Yeah. Now, FDR had a couple major moment speeches, but beyond that, I can see why someone would want to, just not me.
There are some decent ones. I'd say between Roosevelt's, I'd rather want to see Teddy Roosevelt speeches than FDR.
Exactly. I would love to see Teddy in his glory. But here's a question for you. Going off of that, instead of just getting to see a speech, if you had a chance to actually just hang out with any of the former presidents of any era, who would you pick and why? Oh, hey, welcome, Big Blue. If you're trying to say something, you're gonna have to unmute.
Yeah, I had to mute. I've been coughing a little bit. Had a bad cold, so
Uh,
I go on mute so I don't blow everybody's eardrums out. How you guys doing?
They're
doing
doing pretty
good.
good. We're glad that
She's hanging around out back someplace, kicking
I'm
the
gonna
shit
think
out.
on that. I'm gonna go grab some dinner really quick.
She's looking for the next target to drag in and be like, "Hey, beat this one up."
It is a target-rich environment. There's no doubt about it. I don't think we're not gonna run out anytime soon.
That is the wonderful thing about stupid. It tends to proliferate at an exceptional rate.
Yes, it does.
See, and Sean Carroll was reading my mind. So if I could just go spend a day with any president just to see what it would be like, I would go with Teddy Roosevelt. Think about the stories that guy has to tell.
Oh God.
I would
I could
either,
ask him about Chappaquiddick.
well, that's the thing. I would either go with Teddy or, and now this is another boat that my dad was on, another one of the 41 for Freedom, Grant.
Grant would have been cool. Eisenhower would have been cool.
Grant would have been really cool, but I don't think he was sober when he gave his speech.
Oh no,
Yeah.
not his speech. So not talking about just the speeches. I'm talking just kick back and hang out with the guy.
Oh well, you wouldn't last, Jared. You'd be drunk under the table about halfway through it.
You're saying that like it's a bad thing.
You know, I've heard that that's a bit of a myth that he really didn't drink that much.
Well, it is a bit of an exaggeration. He did have a drinking problem. There were a couple stints, especially during his tenure during the Civil War, where the amount of his drinking was questioned, but a lot of it was overblown.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
But it's still one of those. Just think of picking his brain of just how he would analyze a situation. And just the thought process that went into how he managed to not just get himself, but obviously how he got his men through the day-to-day grind that they dealt with.
Who were we talking about? Since I just got back.
Grant.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be a good one.
Apparently there's a new book out that also calls into question a lot of the claims about Washington. See, now going that far back, I would expect a lot of it to be myth and legend and not so much rooted in truth, simply because how much, especially of his formative years, outside of his involvement in the French Indian War, prior to that, how much of his life was actually documented?
Not all that much.
I think that's
Most
true.
of it's family records.
Yeah, true of most of them back in those days. I mean, you know, you don't have the news crews and the family photo albums and all the video and stuff that you got now and have had for the last 50 years.
Yeah, I would want to go back and talk with Thomas Jefferson just as like a few days after he's gotten out of office, and then I would want to Zephram Cochrane him and tell him all about the shit that's going to go down in the future.
Oh,
I'll tell you.
Fred Knotts, you, sir, love the dark humor. Just don't go to the theater with Lincoln.
Come back to the future, come back down to the present, and then find out he drank himself to death.
Probably.
Andrew Jackson would be another one that would be interesting.
That would be a good party one, that's for sure.
Wait, would you rather party with him or which was The Bachelor? Was that Grover Cleveland?
I think Grover was a bachelor for his first one, but his second one, I think he got married in the White House. I think. Let me do some quick Google foo.
Yeah, imagine that, being on the prowl with the president as a wingman. Although, if you really wanted to go that route, you wouldn't go with an American president in that case.
Actually, apparently it was James Buchanan.
Buchanan? I knew it
Yeah.
was that era, though.
I could have swore. Oh no! I think I know what I'm talking. I think I know what I'm thinking about. He was.
It was.
I'm just lost. I'm got my train of thought changed here.
Red Leader does have a point, though. If you want to go that route, you can't go wrong with the Kennedys. Except here's the problem: if you're going to spend a day and an evening like that with the Kennedys, yeah, go John, not Robert or Teddy. Especially not Teddy.
Yeah, but what about Jack? Went out with a blaze of glory. Too soon?
Little bit. but no, so speaking of, if you want that sort of experience with a historical figure from US history, mind you, we're just talking US history. Think about being in the French court during the Revolutionary War with Franklin.
Oh, yep. We were half right, Jared. Grover Cleveland did get married while in the White House.
That is an interesting thing there, Fred. So I wonder how much truth there is to that. So the rumor is that if JFK would get migraines if he didn't have sex every day. So I'm guessing
I
he
think we need
didn't
to do a scientific study on that.
So I guess he didn't get any on a particular morning in Dallas.
That was a pretty bad migraine, I hear.
Some would call it explosive.
Killer. Sorry, Lord, for making the killer joke.
Well, did anybody get to see the Leaning Tower of Dallas before they brought it down finally?
No.
I scrolled past something about it, but what was the story behind it?
Okay, they tried to demolish an old building up off of Haskell and 75 in North Dallas. And the elevator shaft refused to come down. And when the demolition finalized, when all the dust had settled, you ended up with this elevator shaft that had come down 3 stories, but was leaning at a degree angle sharper than that of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, hence the Leaning Tower of Dallas. It was that one thing, demolition team, you had one job, and you failed.
Yeah, well, how old was the building?
It was built back probably in the late 60s, early 70s, because it was part of a computer think tank corporation.
Okay, so they
70s
should have
and
had accurate enough blueprints to actually set the charges right.
Yeah, definitely.
Coral, I'm gonna have to do this to you, cause you're going to end up kicking yourself. Because take a look at your Discord. And let's bring that back up.
That reminds me, I have to ask her if she's gonna She actually watched the video that I tagged her in on Twitter.
Well, you'll probably get to find out momentarily because 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I just tagged her 5 times in the text chat that the panel link is posted in.
I have something. I have something for Navy people here, by the way. Something I just ran across this week, just crossed my mind. But I have something that only well, except for Jay here, everybody, any other Navy guys should consider a legend. Do you believe there's actually a piece of brass that never gets polished?
Yes.
Yeah, the screw.
Yep.
Not the screw.
Okay, now you have me intrigued.
Yeah, me too.
Jay probably knows what I'm talking about.
It's been a while, but I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about.
Here, I'll give you a hint. Here's a picture as a hint.
Oh, sub hatch.
No,
No, that's...
the capstan.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see why on a sub that one.
It's a piece of brass that is never polished.
Yeah, see, on the surface ship, if it's brass, it doesn't matter where it is. Your ass is getting up there to take care of it.
Yep.
That's why I hated being duty ET when they ran the diesel that day in port. Fucking hated it. Because they wouldn't cover the ship's bell, which on our ship was literally on the aft end of the sail.
Oh.
Right below the
Right
diesel
there
exhaust.
next to the exhaust.
Yeah, that's a lot of brass. Oh,
Yeah.
Would you run your diesel that much though?
3 or 4 days a week for drills
Really?
and shit in port.
The only time we ever ran ours in port was like if we were using it as a assist to start the reactor, to just assist shore power.
Well, you got to remember, though, they need just a little bit more juice on the boomers.
No, it was literally to simulate, like if we were doing drills where we lost shore power and the reactor wasn't quite up yet, that type of thing.
We never did anything like that. Huh. Weird.
Well, was that because of how often you guys actually swap between the blue and gold crew, Jay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, go take a bit.
Yeah.
We never swapped crews, so just the crew.
Well, here's the thing, there's actually 3 crews to a boomer: the blue crew, the gold crew, and the other crew.
Yeah.
When something broke, it's always the other crew's fault.
The other crew did it. There was a difference on a fast attack. We didn't have anybody else to blame. If something broke,
Yeah, it's
the best you could do was blame somebody else in your division. And that didn't really work in mine because there were only 7 of us. So.
Oh well, she's got the hat.
And 2 of us didn't do work, so.
everybody.
Oh, come on now, the chief always did work. Somebody's got to hold that coffee cup.
Clearly, you'd never met my chief. So.
No. The chief that I had for the end of my tenure on the Kitty Hawk, that guy. Someone thought it was a wonderful idea to put an O level, a squadron level guy, in charge of a shop that they quite appropriately called the Island of Misfit Toys.
See, then we're not too far off because I've told you about my chief there, Jared.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
The data processing technician that was magically turned into a fire control technician overnight one day by Bupers. Yeah, he was real effective.
So Coral, did you see the video I tagged you on Twitter?
Maybe. How long ago was it?
Oh, I think it was like last Friday or Saturday.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
I
you're a
can't
little
remember
late
what
on asking
happened.
that.
Yeah.
Well, this is my
What
first
was it
interaction with her since then. I mean, come on now.
Right. What was it about?
It is one of my favorite comedy folk singers
Yes,
doing a
that
tribute
was
to armed
really
forces.
funny. I was actually listening to it while I was cleaning cages. I was cleaning bunny enclosures, and I had it running, and my my sister walks in and goes, "What the fuck is this?" And I was just like, "I don't know, but I love it. It's so funny."
My
It
favorite
was
part is
really
the Coast Guard theme song.
absolutely. Um, uh, but there was one other one that I was just dying on. What was it? I can't remember the line anymore. I'll have to listen to it again. It was really funny. And then I started listening to the second song that followed right after, which was something about, I don't know, something about a kilt and sexual assault. It was not fun. I was like, what is this?
Hey, Jerry, here you go. Yeah,
He did
that's my
love a
lap
pretty
pussy.
pussy.
That's my lap pussy. She's been in my
Really
lap
cute.
almost the entire time we've been talking.
Aw.
Yeah, she's my sweetheart.
You like the ginger pussies?
Well, it's the only pussy he
Well,
can get right now by doctor's orders.
no, it's not doctor's orders. It's my wife's recommendation that we not be doing anything this week.
Oh.
Oh, is the timing off?
Well, I mean, I'm out of prophylactic, and she doesn't take birth control pills.
Yeah, so the timing's off.
Yeah.
Calling them while I'm dancing with them.
You need to come closer to say that.
Giggity.
I said, are you telling them why I'm banned from listening?
No, the satellite internet has you banned from listening.
Yeah, well, to be fair, HughesNet fucking sucks as a company, on top of having shit service.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, they seen little girls sitting in my lap.
Aw.
Yeah.
You know, I keep getting mailings from HughesNet. I keep burning them, but they keep coming back.
Oh, well, they like
You
giving
need
you
to
kindling.
return to sender. You need to send them return to sender.
I would suggest something, except it actually be illegal. It might be seen as biological waste, and technically you're not supposed to send that through the postal service.
Yeah.
Yeah, they frown upon that just a little bit.
Just scotch.
Although it would
Well,
be
you know,
interesting to see what Man Shorts would have to say in their postal edition if something like that happened.
Oh, I think they
Oh,
did.
no, it's happened several times. My father used to work for the post office.
Oh, no, I don't doubt that it has actually happened legitimately in the post office itself. I'm saying the YouTube channel Man Shorts and their D&D style clips. It would be interesting if during their postal service series they had something like that happen to one of the players.
Speaking of which, Jared, did you watch the most recent one, the Dungeon Master one?
Oh my goodness, that was funny.
I
That's
have
hilarious.
not. I'll be honest, I haven't had much time to really watch much because, well, this will be back-to-back weeks of working 60 hours.
You can sacrifice sleep.
Oh, I
Yeah,
had
you
overtime
don't
for
need
the first
any
time.
sleep, do
in
you?
forever.
Oh, okay. So I'm not going to sacrifice too much sleep, especially this week when I've been working on upgrades and changes to a production line system that is responsible for an industrial death, which is why we're there. Yeah, I kind of like living.
Just
Ow,
a scotch.
Kiki. Ow.
We'll put your brain in a vat. You'll keep living.
Oh, wait. Are we talking full Titan, Cymec, or or just the disembodied brain?
We'll do Futurama, head in a jar.
Oh, there you go.
But will I get to be put into the sci-fi wing?
I don't know. After the punishment that was yesterday, I've almost got to say I got to quit. I've got to quit. I've got to quit watching the Clark's Bar on Thursday night.
Speaking of that topic,
I'm
scrolling through my homepage on YouTube, and I have to ask, why is this even a question?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. It would not have taken that much time off of their trip.
Yes, I'm aware of this.
But also, I think I watched that video or something similar where they had to take into question where was the wormhole located in the Gamma Quadrant.
They never really said.
No, they didn't. So you had to guess.
Yep. But speaking of that, and speaking of yesterday, there might be some interesting guests this Saturday.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Did you message one particular individual today to find out what his schedule is for tomorrow?
So I sent a message. Evening, good sir. Just wanted to open up this line of communication to make it easier if you're available for the Trek Sci-Fi show this coming Saturday. Due to work schedule of a regular panel member, we'll be looking to start at 5:30 p.m. Eastern this week instead of the regular 4 p.m. One of the topics will be a review/criticism of Star Trek V, among other topics that come up in conversation.
Ooh, I get to watch that tonight because I've got that on Amazon Prime.
Anything else you are curious about or need to know? I'm here anytime. And the response was, sounds good. So,
oh, sweet.
So
gosh,
sadly, I won't be able to actually confirm it until about 2 hours before we go live. But here, let me go ahead and, for the people who are watching out in YouTube land, this is who we're talking about.
Uh-oh.
And then it goes.
I'm waiting on the delay out there.
Right?
Come here. Let go. Down you go, girl.
Of all people for this fucker to actually be able to open up a door for Undoomed.
All right. So
now, what do you say, Jared? What do you say?
Yeah, like I said, for as much shit that I give you,
I will give him this much. At least he has a sexy voice. That's about it. So at least when he's spouting garbage, it sounds nice.
Voyager's Path? Wormhole, roughly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all depends on which source you actually go with on where the wormhole is at. But yeah, it would have shortened the trip. The question is, by how much? Because see,
because
even
you look here, they got Bajor over here, wormhole over here.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And yeah, and also that's another thing. When you, depending on which map of the Milky Way galaxy you go with that is tied in with Trek, is the Sol system actually in the Alpha Quadrant or is it in the Beta Quadrant? We're not entirely sure.
Or is it in both?
It's like that one hotel
straddling the line.
State line.
Oh, up in it's either New Hampshire or Vermont. There's a town up there that the town library straddles the international border.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's one door that you go in that you're walking in from the United States side. The other door on the other side of the building is in Canada.
Oh my
Yep.
gosh, that's awesome.
And
Here's the hitch with that, though. You cannot enter from the door on the U.S. side and exit into Canada.
yes,
It's Vermont.
yeah, whichever door you enter into is the door that you have to leave the building in.
Interesting.
And this is the change is a result of the event that you missed while you were in Cape May.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
Huh.
Derby.
Mhm.
I want to go there.
Oh, the wonderful little quirks and things that are here in New England.
I mean, I tell you what, I love libraries. Libraries are so much fun. But I love the odd little ones, that are just like have some interesting quirk or whatever. Like, I love stuff like that.
Actually, Jay, I'm going to send you something to pull up on Google Earth because I would actually like to see what her initial reaction to this is. Ah, that song, okay.
Okay.
This will be fun. We can start playing Name the Landmark.
Oh gosh.
No, it's not good.
Feel miserably.
No, it's not. It's not going to be that bad. But
Hey, Jared, we
The
can play
lo-
Nuke the Landmark.
no, not
Yeah.
yet. No, it's still too early in the night. Patient child.
Well, I know that, but I'm saying that we could solidify it with just nuking the landmarks after near the end of the show.
Here we go. I even turned off my search history so you can't see what it is.
Bro, you don't want to see on your.
There we
your
go.
porn list?
Okay, go ahead and scroll in. Stop right there. Okay. Does
Ooh, I
what
know this.
this is an educational institution. What level of education do you think is taught here? Mind you, I will have Jay trace an outline of just this portion of the campus and school property. So, okay, from that intersection all the way down that way, all the way there to that intersection, and then up in front back there.
Can I ask one clarifying question? Is it in the South?
Nope.
Okay.
It's in Connecticut.
It's in Connecticut?
Yep.
Well, then I would say junior high.
Nope. Close. Although at one point it technically would have classified as that because it is the oldest institution of its education level in the country.
Interesting.
It is older than the nation itself.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah, I've
Of
no
all the
idea.
notifications-
That's a high
all the
school.
notifications I could actually get
Yeah, my gut was to say high school, and I didn't. I went with middle school.
So here's the kicker: that building right there,
This one?
that one, that is the original schoolhouse,
Oh, that's cool.
and all of the rest of it has been added in afterwards.
Good for them.
Yeah, the second oldest building there is right next door. Can you go ahead and scroll in on that one? Does it give you a street view? There we go. What do you think that building is actually used for?
It looks like a church.
No, the church is actually, if we were in a hot air balloon looking at the campus from this vantage point, the church is directly below us.
Oh, yeah, because to me, I would think it'd be a church because of the round spindles.
It's about as old as the church is. That's across the quad there.
Interesting. Then is that the gym then?
Nope. The gym are the two buildings connected to each other on next door.
Ah, I was close.
So here's the church.
Yep.
And you can see why it's.
Yeah. So yeah, that makes
You can
sense.
see why that. So.
Yeah, I was close, but no cigar. Okay, and then the gym's next to it. So then my other thing would be, yeah, I don't know what it would be then. Maybe cafeteria and.
Nope, that's actually the backside of the main building. Oh, sorry, Terrell building.
Hmm.
Boom. The Samuel Slater Memorial Museum. The front 2/3 of that building is a full-on museum.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that the one that has all the taxidermy in it?
No, that one actually. Well, they may have changed the exhibits since last time I was there, but for the majority of it, is actually been Greco-Roman art and sculptures.
Oh, it sounds beautiful.
Right.
So, yep, that's the roof of the big gym with the all the locker rooms underneath.
Didn't what's his name go there for something or other?
Who? Huh? What?
Didn't Heath Ledger make an appearance there
Nope.
at one point or
Nope.
another?
No, I'll
He
go
was
there in a second.
yeah, we'll go to that one next. But so the building going down on the other side of the gym from the museum.
Okay.
That is the building where the majority, almost the
classes
entirety, no, of the classes for freshman year are located.
That makes sense.
My freshman class on day 1 of freshman year, 1,200 people.
Wow.
I
You know
got
how
you
many
beat, Jared.
people I graduated with?
How many?
8.
Oh, she has me beat. I graduated with 10 other people.
Yeah, I was going to say, probably down around that way.
360.
So I have a very funny story. It's not really that funny. My long and meandering stories. So I went to a when I first moved down south, I went to a very what would you say, culture shock, because I was coming from Vancouver, Washington, and we were down south.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And I had no idea what I was stepping into. So I always like to reference it. Like, you ever see that movie Remember the Titans?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was Sunshine. So I would come up and be like, hey, how are you? Just want to meet everybody. And, I was like, I listened to 60s music, and I was all, peace, love, and rock and roll and all of that stuff. So here I come, and I was in 8th grade at the time. And I walk up to a group of kids, the first group of kids I saw, and I went to go introduce myself, being bubbly me or whatever. And they looked at me like I had a third eye. And I was like, hi, how are you? I'm Coral, I'm new, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, you're new here. I'm like, yep, absolutely. I said, can you show me around? Just starting conversations and stuff like that. And they're just looking at me like I'm crazy. And then one of the leader of the pack basically was like, your group's over there, and pointed to a group of 5 students. And I looked at them, I was like, nah, they look preppy. I'm definitely not a prep. And there were people that kind of giggled or whatever. And the guy was like, no, dude, that's your group over there. And I'm like, what do you mean? And I said, why would I want to hang out with them? You guys look pretty cool. Well, I mean, not anymore, because now you're seeming to be a little assholes, but you know, you could have just said not interested. That's cool too, you know. And the leader of the group and stuff was like, yeah, we're not interested. And I was just like, what the fuck? But yeah, I walked away or whatever. And so I didn't go over to the preppy group. I went over to find my first class or whatever. Well, I ended up getting bullied a lot. And so it got so bad, I actually had to drop out of 8th grade and go to like a home study school. And it wasn't really homeschool. It was one of those schools where you would go and you fill out like these workbooks. And then once you're done with all of the workbooks, you go in and you take a test. And if you pass the test, you get
Correspondence
credit.
classes.
Hmm?
Correspondence classes.
Yeah, it's like that.
I had to do that to graduate high school.
Yeah, and so I did that, and I was so proficient at it. I actually could have graduated before my 9th grade year, but I didn't want that. I wanted the real school experience of high school, right? And I played a bunch of musical instruments too, so I wanted to get back into a band, and I was hoping maybe I'd have better luck. Since it was a different school and high school is different, right? So I got to school, and the new school was much more friendly. And I did that. I actually tested out of most of the freshman classes, and I was about a year ahead. And I was fine with retaking some of them. I was like, whatever, I like learning, whatever. So I was like, cool, I get 3 years. I still get to go to prom and do all of those things. I joined a marching band, which I was super stoked about. And so long story long, I ended up needing to work like 3 jobs to help pay because my mom was always sick. And I ended up missing too much school. And so they were going to fail me and make me repeat a year. And I was like, no, fuck that. Like, I'm smarter than that. Like, I was so close to graduating. I had less than a year to go. And they were going to try to make me stay a whole nother year just because I had too many absences. And I was like, why would you do that to a person? Like, that's stupid. So I ended up dropping out of school and for my senior year, and I did the correspondence courses for my last year and graduated a year early. I had it done in like 2 months. And then I spent the rest of the time working those 3 jobs or whatever. And then the correspondence course was actually tied to a high school academy that was actually run by, I think it was like a Catholic church or something. Well, while I was in the military underway, I came back and Katrina hit. And apparently all of the school's records were lost. And since it was technically a private school and not a public school, like a lot of people lost their school records. So when I found out when I tried to apply to do some college courses while I was in the military, and they said, we can't do it without your transcripts. And they tried reaching out to the school, and I tried reaching out to school, and we find out that all the records were lost. So I literally had to go and get my GED. Like, and by the time I got, like, even though I had a diploma, I just didn't have a copy of my transcripts. I had everything else. I wouldn't have been able to join the military without a copy of my transcripts. Like, they have it, but that wasn't good enough. So 10 years after I graduated high school, I had to go in and take all of the GED tests. and I passed all of those tests with, no studying, except for Illinois has a constitution class that you have to do, and I don't know much about the Illinois Constitution apparently at that time, so I failed that. I was like, I think I was 1 point away from failing it completely, but I got a passing score, and I was just so relieved. I was just like, oh my god, like if I would have known, when I thought it was going to be a Constitution test, I was like, okay, U.S. Constitution, I got this. Like,
No, no, no,
oh,
no.
no.
State
No.
Constitution.
Yeah. I'm like, fuck. Oh, it was ridiculous. So yeah, but so that was my story. I graduated a year early, but then I also had to do my GED 10 years later. That was fun.
Mm.
The guy that was running the whole school too, for his name was Brother Bob. He also, we found out a few years after Katrina, he actually passed away. So on top of that, it's not like we could get any other. It was like as soon as he passed away, nobody really knew who to talk to get anything. So it was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that kind of sucks. So, does this look a little bit more familiar?
It does look like the college that from 10 Things I Hate About You.
It's the high school that they filmed it at.
That's really cool. It's very, very pretty.
Yeah, this is Stadium High School in Tacoma.
Oh, cool. I never knew where it was filmed at, but yeah, it's very iconic. I mean, they had like, what is it, the opening or the closing where they have the band playing on
It's the
top of the
closing.
roof?
Yeah.
Yeah, when they're playing off of the top of here.
Letters to Cleo.
Yeah. And I really like how the stadium seating is. It's right, it is like those rocks going up like that. And that's pretty iconic scene in the movie too, where he's running, singing basically chorus karaoke. Yeah.
Sorry.
Pretty iconic.
Trying to remember my old stomping grounds here. I'm a little too far up the road. That's
yeah,
why.
yeah. I was gonna say, with all those trees, I can see why you're lost.
Aww.
It's not so much that I'm lost. It's just it's a little bit further up than I thought. So here's the church. Driving up.
Moving on up.
There we go.
This is my old high school. This building, this building, this building, and this building were all part of the same building at one point.
Wow.
Yeah.
How does that work?
They downsized.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was one of those old, pioneer schoolhouses.
Oh.
That was 3 levels.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's similar to Django. We'll take this section and put it over here. This section, we'll put it over here.
Is it just me, or is the goalpost actually off here?
Yeah, they are. They're not lined up.
Hey, Jay.
No.
Just go to the street view on that address. That I posted inside that. Yeah, do it.
Nope.
You didn't say. To quote a movie that I fell asleep to recently. You didn't say the magic word.
Pretty please.
You didn't say the magic word.
I'm trying not to get you demonetized right now.
Oh, come on. Who knows the movie that I'm talking about?
I know what movie you're talking about. And I know.
Park. Must drive faster. Must drive faster.
Yeah, oh, I forget. Yeah, Any watch that movie. I haven't seen it in a while, and I go to, and it goes to the scene where Dodson gets out of
Actually,
the
Okay, go
Other
back
side?
up to the highway. Go back up to the highway. Go back up to 87.
I'm about to say, was that your house?
Going
Let me get out of Street
northwest.
View. Hold on. Which way
Okay,
am I going?
go back to your south. Go back to the right down. Okay.
Hold on. Let me recenter it on north.
There
All
we
right.
go.
All right, go north. Now go east.
no, the
Do I stay
other
with the
east.
road or do I just go due east?
Go to 287. Find 287. Once you find 287, I can get you there. There's 287.
I'm assuming this is 287.
Yeah, that's 287. Zoom in on that.
How much more?
All the way.
Right
I want to
there.
read the plate on that car.
No, I'm trying to remember. It's the country club in Midlothian, Texas. And if you know anything about your Western or your country and Western movies, there was one that was filmed there. Right there at that intersection right there, Jay.
This one?
Just right there. Yeah. And it should be just a little bit northwest of that. Go up top left. Top left a little more. Actually, no.
I'm actually going
it's
top
that-
right here
No, wait,
because
stop right there. Stop right there. Pull back down just a little. Go right there. You see that building with the dome on it right there?
The Dome of the Rock.
No. Down to the south. Down to the south. Right there. Zoom in on that as best you can. I'm thinking that's it. You have to go back to the highway to look at it. But that's it. Go back up. Yeah. That's it right there. Now, who can name me a movie that was filmed in that building?
True Country.
Huh?
True Country. The movie with George Strait.
Pure Country.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. All the bar scenes were filmed in that. I was delivering pizzas there when it happened.
Oh, how funny is that?
And no anamorphic mind. No, that's just where I grew up at. And I'm not about to dox myself. I don't even live in that state anymore. But yeah, there was also a Faye Dunaway and dadgummit, who did Dick Tracy? Who was the guy that did Dick Tracy?
Warren Beatty.
Yeah.
Warren Beatty. There was a Warren Beatty Faye Dunaway movie filmed in that city as well. Now, can you name the movie?
Right, I'm trying to think.
Bonnie and Clyde.
Very good.
I had a feeling that if anyone knew it, it would be you, Blue.
There's actually a scene in the movie where it's Bonnie and Clyde, and they've got one police officer, sheriff's deputy, whatever. But the house that they filmed it at, you see the sign that says for sale Midlothian or First National Bank Midlothian on it.
I think my school has been taken over by flat earthers.
That looks
It's that diminishing divergence, man.
Oh, that's new.
But yeah, it was pretty cool because the film crews would actually order up pizzas, and you would see George Strait, and you would see the old man. They'd actually come out and sign autographs if we wanted them or whatever for a tip. My boss has pizza boxes, or my old boss had pizza boxes. He's deceased now, but the guy that bought for my boss, he actually still has the pizza boxes signed by George Strait.
Now, son, you know that little white speck on the top of chicken shit?
Yes,
And that was probably my favorite line out of that entire movie. All right, you know what? Since you're not actually going to present and you're using your camera, there we go. What are you trying to show us, Tech? Going back in time. Nope, still can't hear you.
Right.
Alright. Well, since he's playing around with that and not talking.
Okay. Well,
There
I'm
you
getting
go.
off for the night, guys.
Had to go back in time.
And again.
Well, at least that version of time travel doesn't result in paradoxes.
You'd actually probably like that. That was my boot camp division building.
Oh, very cool.
See, I was wondering where you were.
You would
zooming in on.
specifically like it, Jay, though.
Oh yeah.
You know, boot camp division's usually named after ships, right?
Yeah.
Take a guess what the name of the ship name of that one was. Jared?
The Washington?
I have no clue.
No.
Oh, it was the
The
Kitty Hawk.
Michigan?
Kitty Hawk. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I didn't see which one you pointed out, Tech. So
yeah. Well, so
no, I was in-
Orlando, Division 5, Kitty Hawk.
oh, that was in Orlando. No, when I was in Norfolk, I was in the I was in the Daniels. I
so
was in the U.S. Josephus Daniels.
So here's something to think about. The building that I was in at Great Mistakes was named for LCC 19. Command and Control Ship USS Blue Ridge. Guess what pier the Kitty Hawk was taking up when we got to, for actually the entirety of my time on it in Japan? The pier that it was intended for, the USS Blue Ridge.
Okay. So this school here, when I was going to school, they maybe graduated one or two people every third or
Dad would have remembered that
It's all Lake Baldwin now.
so. Here's my school, and here's the other school. That's how far apart we were.
Wow.
Dang.
Wow.
That's not even the furthest. That's not even the furthest sporting event I ever went to. Let's. Can I change from here? No, I'm gonna have to get new directions. All right, give me just a second.
Are you zoomed in on a super church?
No, that's my high school's current building.
Wow.
Wow.
That looks like the super church down at 67 and 20 in South Dallas. Where
This is the building. Yeah, this is the building it was in.
Yeah,
Wow.
that looks more like a school to me.
Right. I mean, good for them.
How many of you have ever heard of Nia Bay in
Sounds
Washington?
familiar, but
Of
not
course.
really.
Nope.
Back when I was in it, you know.
Anamorphic Mind does have a good question for you, though, Tech. Are we sure that's not Starfleet Command?
So
Which
here's my
one?
sc-
The new one?
The new one.
So here's where my school is. Here's where we would have to go.
Wow, how long would it take you guys to get there?
About 3.5 hours, 4 at most, depending on how many bathroom stops we had to make for the bus driver, depending on who was driving.
Wow.
Now there's a section of this road here that as you're driving along on a bus and you're sitting in the back seat, you're looking over to your death. It is literally just a very narrow 2-lane road.
Mountain road.
Not even mountain, coastal road.
Yeah.
Even worse.
Hey, the Strait of Juan de Fuca.
Wanda Fuka.
Nah, I call it the fucka because you want to get the fuck out of there.
I was far less, Jay. My school was here. I lived over here.
Hold on just a second, man.
My school was here. I lived over here.
Oh, that's not too bad. I mean, I only lived 7 miles from my school.
I had a friend in high school where I actually ultimately graduated from. His house was the second street in front of the building. So, like, you walk out of the building, there's the parking lot, then there's the main street. The street behind that is where his house was.
Oh.
No excuse to not go to school.
I liked growing up there too because of this up here.
Airstrip.
Oh, let me move this there. There we go.
Yep.
Looks like a big cross.
Oceana Naval Air Station.
Yeah. I knew it as soon as I saw that crash area there. I was like, yeah.
So for perspective, this is Oceana. I lived over here.
No wonder why you went subfleet. You wanted to get the fuck out of there.
I tell you what, when it came to the aircraft identification, I put all the junior officers to shame.
Oh, I bet.
I rattled them off without even thinking. Heck, it was hilarious growing up. I could identify them by the sound of the engines.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Oh, yeah,
I was even to do that
Impressive.
growing up too, but I lived in the flight path of where I leaned in a landing path of the runway at Dallas NAS. That was always interesting because it's also where the radio broadcast towers were also there. So guess what happened when they were flying low ceiling? We had an F-4 Phantom actually crash into the broadcast towers for the DFW area. It took out the heavy metal station and it took off 3 TV channels.
Oops. So, Tech, if you want, go ahead and go down to NAS Pensacola. I want to point out something here for Coral to really point out just how well you can identify an aircraft from sound alone.
Yeah, no.
No, okay, so let me take a look here. Okay, yeah, go ahead and scroll. Okay, so there is the flight line at NAS Pensacola. That is the main training base of the Blue Angels, but it's also a routine training base for just pretty much any other aviation squadron in the Navy as well. Scroll out a little bit. Okay, so that's where, so you see where the flight line is. Go ahead and zoom in around where the P in Pensacola is.
The P, right here.
Yeah. Zoom in there. Okay, that is where the majority of the A schools were. We could hear some of the aircraft on the flight line powering up before takeoff. And guess what? The EA6B Prowler, really distinctive when it powers up.
I used to go to the bus stop in the morning to the sounds of F-14 Tomcats warming up their engines.
Yep, it's another loud one. Little higher pitch than the Prowler.
Hey, y'all missed the F-4 Phantoms. I hate to put y'all to shame, but y'all missed the F-4 Phantoms. Those things flying over, they scream.
They are loud.
Yes.
Yeah, you do
Ooh, what
know
do we got here?
you do know that their style of engine is the same style as the Prowler, which is why it is so loud. The main difference being the Phantom had the speed because it had a little more power, but was also a lighter aircraft by load compared to the Intruder and the Prowler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Phantom had an interesting design philosophy. You know, if you put enough power behind it, a brick will fly.
Yeah.
Oh, you betcha.
So Pensacola, I only have one story from Pensacola because right before I joined the military, I was in Mobile, Alabama, which isn't too far from Pensacola.
I'm sorry.
So we actually went to Pensacola one time for my birthday, and I got my first tattoo in Pensacola Beach.
Hey, I know those towns.
Yeah.
No, Tech is actually scrolling in on the area that I grew up in most.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. Now now he's going to a different part of it. He's scrolling into
My
sub
E-school
school.
building. And C-school buildings.
Let's
And
see here.
Go ahead and scroll back a little bit. I think the buildings are still there. So.
Oh, no, we're back.
Right.
We had two other buildings. It's like when I was going through, there was a building here that had a walkway attached to it, and there was another walkway that went over in another building there. You can kind of see it.
Yeah,
the
I was
building
gonna.
right here.
Yeah, I was
way
gonna
back.
say go older. There we go.
Yeah, that's where I had my queue. The building that's right underneath.
There were the
Yeah, that one right there.
Yeah, there
That
were a
was the
lot
queue.
of yeah, there was a lot of in these two buildings here, the one here, and you can barely see the one here. There was a lot of actually trainers in there, like actually
Yeah.
system mock-ups.
yeah, and actually, if you go down one building,
My name or shirt to my face.
so not that one, so down.
God, it's hard to see. There's the
Yeah.
exchange down
Yeah,
there.
there's the exchange. So I'm trying to remember reorientate from this because yeah, there's the commissary and the exchange. My dad was it was that building right there. So not the one.
This one?
No, not that one. Go up the hill a little bit.
This one?
That one. Spent a lot of time in that one.
Yeah, wasn't that the? Is that the sub school building? The officer sub school building, I
Yep,
think.
that sub school. Yep, officer sub school. But keep in mind, my dad made chief before he got there.
I stood many a watch in that building.
Yeah, that was the building that I had a day off from school, so my dad took me to work with him and had me run stuff around and literally just walking into mid and higher level officer offices to drop something off.
Late nights in that building, making sure it didn't go anywhere. That's where it was just funny. I was I was doing a weekend watch on there one time. It was hilarious when I had this there were a whole bunch of reservists coming in. They were using the building, and it was hilarious. A commander came in while I was standing watch, and I mean, I was in A school. I was still in E3. It was hilarious. The commander kept calling me sir.
No, it goes the other way around, sir.
Yeah, I kept going shouldn't I be calling you sir?
So this is about the time when
We
I
both
was going
put our
to.
legs on. We both put our pants on one legs at a time. Okay, whatever you say. Sir.
Yeah, down at
older
Jacksonville,
than-
we would always get the reserve Airedales coming through. So duty weekends were really interesting. We'd be in there just kind of putzing around. It's like, okay, are they going to let us go in soon? And the reserve guys would be like, what? You mean you guys don't work a regular shift on the weekend? And we laughed.
See, this was the galley.
Yep.
I was in this building through Best and the first half of A school, and in this building through the rest of A school and C schools. And I had one C school class up here because the soldering class was in that building. Was it that one?
As I forgot that I actually was
that one.
presenting.
My A school and C schools were in Yorktown, Virginia.
Interesting being down that way for the Ghosties. But then
Yeah.
again, thinking about it though, that entire area is so populated by military.
Yeah.
We have 9 military installations in Hampton Roads. I grew up in the Cold War. I knew we were like ground zero. There was a first strike. I was dead.
All right. Point me
So
point
is
me where I need
Antonio.
to go there, Coral.
Oh, I am definitely not like what you guys do. Like, I have no idea where it is on these maps.
What was the name of the base?
It was Trace in Yorktown.
If you actually get into Coast Guard stuff, it gets even higher in Hampton Roads because there's some Coast Guard stuff that isn't even base.
Yeah, I was gonna say. There we
There
go.
we go.
Hey, the main dining facility is still listed.
There we go.
You find it?
So if that's the dining facility, interesting little spot. What is it with the military and using buildings that look like oddly shaped H's?
Right.
I was going to say oddly shaped chromosome patterns.
It's
but,
a very efficient. It's a very efficient design for generally what they're using it for. A lot of barracks are H-shaped. I noticed because you get like a common area in that center thing, and then all the wings represent rooms.
Yeah. And we used to have to run. Oh gosh, I'm trying to think. Like, we used to have to run like this entire area. Yeah, going that main road going all the way up, and then it loops around to go back. Yeah, we'd go through town and then have to loop back.
Army barracks all look like shoe boxes or coffins.
Yeah, well,
If
yeah,
they
they're
don't
trying
look
to get you ready for them.
And if the Navy, if they don't look like an H, then they tend to look like an X. It's one of the two.
Yeah. Were you in the Army?
Yeah, I was in the Army Reserve.
I was going to see if you knew anything about Fort Lost in the Woods up here in Missouri.
No,
Oh God, that place is bonkers.
I don't know. My barracks are pretty normal.
Well, they were still using a bunch of
Our
World War II
barracks-
stuff when I was in, and I started at. Well, I went to basic training at Fort Polk, and
This X-shaped building here was the barracks that we use in Norfolk most.
there you go.
Yeah, they always look like X's or H's.
Yeah.
No, our stuff didn't look like that. It just looked like rows of shoe boxes.
Yeah, Quonset huts too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually.
This is the pier my boat was moored to usually.
Hang on, let me take a look.
Here, let me stuff.
Yeah, I got to go. I got to go learn how to do heavy machinery at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and their barracks. The Navy was in one of the newer modern barracks, but we built ours. But all the Army recruits were still in the old World War II barracks.
Yeah, those things are horrible. Had the same thing at Fort Sam Houston.
Yeah.
In those days, they've torn all that crap down.
Thank goodness.
Nothing but damn fire traps.
Yeah.
Well, you think they had fire watches?
Yeah.
So this is one of my favorite walking trips while I was in the Navy.
Ford Island, huh?
I've been there.
And here you go, Jared.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, got to show the carrier piers.
Where else could you see 4 active carriers board at the same time?
Norfolk.
Well, exactly. That's
the
Really?
point.
No. You got to say it right. If you're gonna say it right.
Norfolk?
It's no fuck.
Let me tell you how to pronounce
No.
it. Finish this sentence. The women there, they don't drink, they don't smoke.
Yeah, they don't. They don't put themselves at risk for unnecessary reproduction.
No. You got to say it right. They don't drink. They don't drink. They don't smoke. They no fuck.
I don't
Yeah.
know when.
Drive all the way from Yorktown to Norfolk. Gosh, so like that was our when we had weekends. That's where we would go. We'd go either to Norfolk or we'd go to Virginia Beach. And I was under the age of 21 for the majority of my career in the military. And so I ended up being the designated driver, and I ended up, I was always the one that they called whenever they needed a ride.
Wait a minute. You guys actually moored up on Ford Island?
Yeah. And this is about this is probably when the Gold Crew was going out for their TRE. I don't know that this is actually the Michigan, but yeah, that's a boomer.
Now, in which corner? Oh, okay, that's the southern tip. That's down by the museums. Actually, no, northern corner, because museums are down that side. Oh,
I was stationed.
the Utah is over on that side of the island.
Yep.
So that
And I
was
always hated the Admiral's Ferry coming through.
All right, what was that, Coral?
I was going to say that was a fun. See, we were stationed over in Honolulu, but every single time we'd have to come in, where we would come in, we passed Pearl Harbor every time. And so we'd always end up having to pay our respects as we were coming into the port for.
So you're coming up along here and then over here somewhere?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it looks familiar.
Yeah, it's a joint base Hickam area.
Yeah. And then we had, we used to stop over on this side of the island all the time. So yeah, we'd always have to do it, pay respects before coming in. So you always wanted to, well, if you were feeling lazy, you would run inside the skin of the ship so you wouldn't have to, but most everybody would run up.
Interesting thing about, even still to this day on Ford Island, the first bomb blast, still viewable. There's a bunch of the original buildings that still have gunfire damage on them.
Oh wow!
Like this one right here.
Yep. And actually, the Navy Lodge that's on the island, some spots on the exterior still have the damage too.
Wow.
You can even see it when I was going through, when we'd walk from here down to the exchange over here. You walk through and you'd see it on the tarmac here. They never touched the runway.
Yeah. Yeah, because after that attack, they still used it for Catalinas, but that was it.
Wow.
Yeah, the flying boats.
Jared, you would actually love this little museum here.
Yeah, I've been to it. It's one of the few things that I actually got to do that was technically recreational when I was there back in 2007.
Technically recreational. That's like when we went to like the submarine museum there, just off base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
technically recreational.
Although I cannot say how many times I've been to that museum. Like, I could probably walk through the Nautilus blindfolded and know exactly where I was during the entire time. Hey,
This
the
is a great
bowfin.
little one to go to. This is a great one to go to.
Yep. I
And
actually
then
had
over
the
here is just
camera
the-
fail.
What
on
what
it.
is that?
That's the bowfin.
Is it a
It's a diesel. It's a
Well, I know it's a
Vallejo.
diesel.
Vallejo.
Vallejo, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
My dad's first boat was a Vallejo. It was a Guppy conversion Vallejo, but it was a Vallejo.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Although I will say this, if you're up in the Schofield Barracks area, be ready to be hungry
Yeah.
because it smells like pineapple.
Right. Oh, down in Sand Island, which is south of that, that's where our main base was.
Ah, the blueback.
My chief, who was originally an ice seaman in the Navy till they decided to convert people to various rates, used to be
Yeah,
on
they're-
this one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, there were ice seamen on still around when I was in.
Now, the blueback, that was...
Diesel.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to remember which class.
Why can't I think of the name?
Was
right
that the
now?
Albacore class?
Yeah, no.
No?
Albacore was a special thing on its own, but it was the same one with the bonefish, the blueback. But what was the class?
Just a
Why
second
can't I
here.
think of
I'm
the
gonna
class
pull it up.
name? Why can't I think of the class name?
What? You can actually stay the night on there too?
What?
Okay,
Yeah, I think it's for kids more than anything, but you know.
I was gonna say I'm down.
Hey, we don't kink shame.
Right? Let's have fun in the submarine.
In fact, here you go, Jared. That was my dad's first boat,
Oh, it's beautiful.
USS Razorback. He managed to score being a plank owner twice.
Oh, bastards.
He was on the decommissioning crew of the Razorback and the pre-commissioning crew of the Flying Fish.
Nice. Barbell class.
Yeah.
Yeah, barbell. That's it. One of my instructors was on the Bonefish
Hey Jay, go down to
when
San
it caught fire.
Oh,
Jay, would you please go to San Jacinto State Park?
No.
Yes, nicely.
I think that's the problem.
See that this is the problem is I would love to go back and spend the night on a submarine just for I'd love to bring all my friends that have never been on a submarine onto this and just be like, seal the hatches, come on, let's go.
Right?
But
That'd
the
be so much
grade
fun.
level.
Most of them fit in that education wise
Right?
still.
Okay,
They
true.
like to think they're smarter than they are, but
Especially not about subs.
well, no, just in general.
Fred Knotts was asking the Razorback there, is that in the Pittsburgh area?
No, it's actually in Arkansas.
That is the thing about those diesel boats. They could really get them to funky places to be museums.
Well, that actually was interesting too, because when she was decommissioned, she was sold to Turkey, and she served in the Turkish Navy as well for quite a while. And then finally, when they decommissioned her, she came back over here as a museum ship. So she served in two navies.
My best friend lives in Oregon, so it would be super easy to get to go to the OMZ. We used to go to OMZ all the time.
Yeah, if I ever move down to Oregon, I'm still gonna try and become a volunteer tour guide on this thing.
It'd be badass,
What better way to spend my every other Sunday?
right?
Get
In
a
fact,
3-hour tour?
here's what the Razorback officially ended her total Navy career in 2001.
Wow.
Wow. It's amazing.
Because
So,
Turkey
Now, where
had her
did you
from
want me
about
to go?
1970 to 2001.
You wished. Where did you want me to go?
straight to hell, Michigan.
Straight to hell, Michigan. Is that everywhere in Michigan? Sorry.
You go to San Jacinto State Park.
No, there actually is a hell, Michigan.
No.
There is. And it is frequently colder and frozen than even parts of Antarctica right now.
So when hell freezes over is a
Yeah.
thing.
You got it. That's
Michigan,
the idea.
the part of Michigan.
Hey, I didn't keep my soundboard. How you doing,
Well,
Karis?
I may have gotten the message late, but when Jared says come, I come.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Keep trying to tell people I'm better than they suspect.
How are you doing?
Great. Dandy. How are you?
Awesome, I guess.
Locate Nauticus. Okay, are you talking about the Nautilus, or is that actually spelled correctly, Sean Carroll?
Nauticus? I never Nauticus.
Oh, we're live?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh god. This almost got super awkward.
There's actually some interesting stuff near Nauticus.
Well, at least this time, it wasn't like an entrance straight into your tits.
No, it was
Can you see me? Yeah, we can see you.
That reminds me, I gotta go back and clip a few things. I haven't done that yet.
wonderful.
Wait.
All right, you wished.
All right, San Jacinto. Why did you want us to go to a prison?
No, it's San Jacinto State Park. Not the state prison, the state park.
Hey, look what it says. State Park.
Yeah. Okay, now go north. Go north. Right there where you see all the piers, just to the right. No, well, actually, no.
I don't see piers. I
Jumping
see
around on the
forest.
screen and let me get my bearings real quick. Jesus H Christ, Gabriel.
Well, you're the one that's telling me to go directions.
Okay, right there. Now pull your mouse to the left a little bit. No,
So
go,
you
now
want me?
go south. Well, actually, no. Wait. Yep, right there.
I see roads and forest.
Yeah.
Right where you're at, right there. Zoom in and tell me what that is.
It's a road.
A road and a bunch of trees.
My phone freeze up again.
Probably.
Either that or y'all are fucking with me.
No,
I'm
you
zooming
told
out.
you
I'm
told us
zooming in.
you told us to go to a state park. Yeah, we see a park.
Right, you see the big boat right there?
Big boat.
No. No boat.
Hang on.
I got Nauticus up too, so I'm wondering.
Yeah, let's go to something more interesting.
No wonder. I got no. I
Ooh.
was on the wrong one.
Anamorphic mind says, note to self, don't get directions from you, Wish.
No, I was looking at the wrong one. I had it locked up.
All right,
I
so
had locked in on Eric instead of looking at Jay Brown.
battleship. Which class is that?
That's the USS Wisconsin.
So, yep, Iowa class. I was trying to determine which class it was by looking at the forecastle area, because that is actually where the main differences between the North Carolina and the South Dakota class are.
It's the forecastle. The forecastle.
Forecastle.
The forecastle. Spellings and pronunciations crack me up sometimes.
Yeah, you just have to sometimes put the wrong emphasis
The emphasis on syllable.
Oh, that's allowable. It's like Chipotle.
Yes.
I thought-
Chipotle.
Yeah, I thought it was
No,
Chip
but
Tole.
Oh, there you go.
San Jacinto State Park. San Jacinto State Park is where the Lexington and the Texas are.
Chick-fil-A.
Yes.
And these are battleships.
The Texas
The
is.
Lexington and the Carrier.
I know.
Yeah,
I'm just messing with
very-
you.
Jay, very large targets.
Yes, I know.
Loud and noisy. Especially the battleships.
Make pretty big booms when you hit them just right.
But there is a museum there dedicated to one of the World War II submarines that got sank by a Japanese fleet.
Okay, reading the chat. Factard, you win the night so far.
Oh my god.
What am I missing?
Factards over here like, no, that way. Yeah, that's no.
Oh,
look
no.
to the left. Yeah, right there.
Factard being a smartass.
No, Factard
No.
being accurate, because he's comparing your skills at giving directions to the sounds of teenagers having sex for the first time.
That's the
I
Nauticus there.
didn't
That's
have
actually a.
sex as a teenager, so I'm not exactly versed in that. Awkward silence.
Chris Catsola.
Somebody say something.
Oh, Chris Catsola. Damn it, Factard. That's my ear.
Oh wow, wrong hole.
The things that
I'm
end up
sorry.
happening.
I did it again, didn't I?
You say that like it's a bad thing.
This channel's decommissioned.
Bad.
Oh no, this channel wouldn't be decommissioned. Actually, no, we would get the Iowa class treatment. Oh, we're done with you. We're putting you away. God damn it, something happened. We need you again. Come on back. Okay, damn it, that's done. Go away. Just go away. We don't need you anymore. Go away. Oh fuck, we're screwed now. Okay, come on. Okay, we can't get rid of all of you. So we're only going to bring 2 of you back. And oh, hey, look, we got a place for you to go play. Here. Go play in the sandbox. Go have a little fun. Okay, now you're done for good.
Only to be brought back out of the mothballs in a movie that made absolutely no sense.
Yeah, because there's no way in hell they would have gotten that thing moving that quickly.
I'm just more impressed that the guy's, what is it? He stole a burrito and ended up becoming a lieutenant.
Why the hell
It's
not?
about
Well,
accurate.
wait.
for the Navy, honestly, but-
Yeah, let's.
More qualified than half lieutenants I met.
I was going to say, let's put this right. He was drunk, started hitting on a girl. She was the one who wanted the burrito, so he decided to drunkenly go across the street to get said burrito, only to find out that the place was locked up for the night. So he gets the genius idea to go up on the roof and try to get in that way. At which point he falls through the drop ceiling, destroys a bunch of product in the process, gets said burrito, microwaves said burrito, breaks out of the store, and by this time the cops finally show up and he decides to beeline it towards her with the burrito while getting tased to deliver said food item.
So we're gonna make him
Why the
weapons
hell
officer.
didn't he make
We're
full
gonna give
bird?
a commission to lieutenant and make him weapons officer aboard destroyer.
Yeah, but for that much courage, he should have made at least full bird for that.
Yeah.
Well, to be
my
fair,
goodness. It's such an insult to all the people who had to salute this guy on a daily basis.
It was no more unrealistic than Crimson Tide or.
yeah, but let's be honest, Crimson Tide.
When I think of the I mean, no offense to all the perhaps current and former ensigns here, but some of you guys are just dumbasses. I'm sorry.
I
And
was
I
a
had to
second class.
salute
Don't look at me.
somebody. I was a third class, but just in nuke school, it's like I have to salute you guys going to and from class, and you guys don't know shit more than I do, and I'm oh god, it was
You know
so
what?
unearned. It was so frustrating.
You know what the great thing about submarine service was? We didn't let our ensigns do shit.
Yep.
Well, and I'm kind of a hypocrite because by the time I got out on medical, I had been admitted into STA 21, so I was going to be one of those dumbass ensigns.
But no, well,
You were a lieutenant. You were a lieutenant before we gave you anything resembling responsibility.
well, to be fair though, Karis, you would have. Well, yeah. By the time you got in, you would have been right at the borderline for O1E. So technically, it would have been better.
If you're an O1E, you're not an ensign. Not in our mind, at least.
Yeah.
Anamorphic Mind actually does bring up a good point, and yes, it was actually said in probably one of the better done miniseries. You salute the rank, not the man.
Well, I wish somebody had instilled this into me at the time because I was too green myself and didn't realize this, and I was just daily insulted about 200 times. Just by, yes, I have an ego. Bite me.
I wonder, is he still?
I don't know. There's nothing worse than a flyboy ensign, especially a vertical flyboy ensign.
Oh, the Hilo bastards.
Oh God!
Now,
We
well,
had two on board the Eisenhower, and those guys. I swear to God, if it looked like a drop of water hit their bar, they lost their shit.
Oh no!
Oh sure, I'll add you as a friend.
Oh,
At least I didn't settle for an ensign. I went for the Lieutenant JG.
We didn't even let our Lieutenant JGs do shit.
Well,
they had to be full lieutenant before they could get anything.
Well,
this guy doesn't get it.
Hey, I got a picture of one of my JOs when he was an ensign.
Here's something to think about, though. You wished you dealt with a different mentality of interaction type with the flyboys. They didn't really like me. What I noticed, the Hilo pilots weren't the issue. The jocks were the issue. The actual fighter attack wings.
So we were a whole different beast. We were nuclear.
Well, Karis, all our officers were nukes, so
Yeah.
Oh.
Except the Chop. The Chop was the only non-nuke officer we had.
Occasionally, we would have LDOs that were former missile techs that would be non-nuke, but generally because they were prior enlisted, they were
We didn't even get those. We didn't even have LDOs. All we had on fast attacks was we had a whole bunch of nuke commissioned officers and then the Chop.
So
that was it.
I can't remember if I just qualified when he came on board or if I was just getting done with my qual process when he came on board. But man, did people have fun with this guy, because he literally is only like 5'6".
That's not short. I'm 5'6".
So he was the perfect height for a submarine.
Oh,
Jared. He was about 3 inches taller than my Weps.
Oh my goodness.
He was a great officer. He was a good guy, but when he was sitting there trying to like tell us what our jobs were, and we're all like, "You really want to be saying that right now, do you?"
And again, I do apologize to any ensigns out there that I've just completely, kind of nuked. No pun intended.
Oh no, I had no problem during my last couple of years in looking at a butter bar and saying, "My apologies, sir, but I've been on board this ship longer than you've been in the Navy."
Now, don't get me wrong; they were beautiful to look at when they're in their dress blues and especially their dress whites. Oh my god, like what during summer the officers coming out of the building, they're dressed whites. It's like a freaking porn show. I have a thing about guys in uniform. Sue me.
Actually, the only butter bar we had while I was aboard was Griffith, and he was actually a ROTC guy. So he got shit on a lot by all the Academy grad nukes aboard. He was a ROTC grad nuke, of course.
Our lieutenants were always assholes.
He was
They're
more
like
competent than the other JOs we had, so it was kind of sad.
Well, keep in mind, lieutenant on up,
They're like senior chiefs.
Well, no, they have a different type of assholeness to them, because keep in mind, your promotion to LT is purely time in. It's not until you're going from 03 to 04 that your actual performance starts to matter. So yeah, your assholes are the ones who are actually gunning and trying to make it a career. Your more chill lieutenants, those are the ones who are like, nah, I don't care. I got enough good prospects on the way out. Why should I care?
Maybe that's why the senior chiefs were always such pricks. Again, no offense to senior chiefs out there. The chiefs were always cool. Our master chief was awesome, but senior chief, holy shit.
Oh no. My departmental master chief was a fucking nutcase. Jay, I know he's out there. You'll have to look up that guy.
You think Steve will mind?
I did a caricature of our master chief on our division T-shirts, and I made the anchors look like dicks, and they're pointing to his mouth.
Nice.
It was by accident.
Sure.
I heard him going down the hall. Everybody heard him. Crane. I could hear people from 3 rooms away going, "Oh, what'd she do this time?" I was a little bit of a troublemaker.
No, not you.
What is this? What is this? I'm like, no, what do you mean, Master Chief?
I remember when the WEPs or NAV was OOD, they would always use me to show up
in the chat. I'm sorry, I interrupted. Look who's in the chat. We got a Cheshire Vic.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask her if it was because of my tweet.
Oh, what did you tweet?
You'll have to go check that out.
And also, I apologize to whoever I just so rudely interrupted. Please do go on.
No problem. I was saying the WEPs and the NAV, when they were OOD, they would always use me to show up the JOs when they were trying to train them on visual IDs. So always leave them stammering for a moment, and they go, FDOW, could you identify that? And I look up at the screen where I could see what's on the scope and identify it in like 2 seconds.
Nice.
Oh, it's an
Believe it or not, Jared, I'm not getting anything for him. But I am getting I'm getting a lot of Dukes of Hazzard references.
Why does that not surprise me? Why does that not surprise me? So
I even went to Google just to make sure, that I was getting it right. Let's see here.
I'm actually going to go in and pull up the cruise book from
I had another funny officer interaction too while I was in school. When we were in our trainers, we would take turns playing like OOD. We're all we're not listed, we're like, third classes. It's best you got in there. And I remember there's this one time we were doing this one training on the fire control system, and we're actually doing tracking and like fake engagements and stuff in this trainer. And this training session was hard. Like we were going up against some pretty tough stuff. Come to find out, like there was a boat coming in after us it was the officer and crew from the USS Providence Weapons Department. And so we're leaving afterwards, and like he was using us as an example against his JOs because we were doing better in scenarios he was throwing out than his JOs were doing, like the previous time they were in there. Third classes his officers.
Oh, that is wow. Doesn't
We didn't
surprise
say
me
anything.
though.
It was hilarious. They were embarrassed though. We didn't say anything, of course.
Oh, of course not.
No.
All right, let's see.
It's fine for the lieutenant commander to put his ensigns and JOs in place and stuff, but
That's IM4. All right. All right. I found. Let's see if this is the cruise book that.
Well, damn. This sucks. Not as many people as I thought were in hell.
I probably heard this wrong, but it sounded like this sucks. Not as many people as I thought are in hell.
Well, take a look at my numbers here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now it makes sense.
I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry.
Yeah, let's just do
I mean, I
the
guess I made that
country a
obvious.
favor.
Oh my god. Really?
Get all those bad guns out of there.
So basically, I'd be fucked.
Okay, I got the page for you to pull up. I was wrong with his middle initial.
Ah, that would explain it.
This guy, oh.
You know who he reminds me of?
Let's
The
hear it.
the reoccurring actor that plays with Adam Sandler. He was the
Oh,
have you
the
ever
bumbling
seen
guy?
Waterboy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one that people can barely understand. Yeah. Bring
Yeah.
good old Roscoe Deal. This guy, I think he was in the wrong branch. Because he was notorious for getting absolutely shit-faced when we were in a foreign port, and then just going off and doing random facing movements on the pier while talking to the security watches at 11:30 at night.
was he Navy?
Oh yeah.
I mean, he sounds like he was in the right branch to me. But
Oh no. Because no, we're talking like he would be calling out facing movements himself, doing them while fucking obliterated and getting them wrong.
oh,
Well, then he's definitely in the right if he's obliterated.
obliterated by getting wrong, you know. Unless you can actually do your job drunk, you're not really Navy.
Oh, he couldn't. What are you gonna try to find my horrible picture that's in there?
No, I think we've already covered that.
Yeah.
I was just looking. I wonder if since subs didn't really do cruise books, at least for ours. I wonder if I can find anything on my boat.
Well, that site does have a lot of them.
Our boot camp did, though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I still have my kills somewhere.
I don't know where my flag went. I did our division flag. Put a dragon on it. I was in 900 division. Good lord,
Yeah.
did I just do that? I was in a 900 division. Nobody fucking cares. Jesus.
Like, what were the actual requirements to be in that division?
I don't know. I don't know. I just said this and that. You know.
You were there.
What was your ASRAB score? 99.
Oh.
Blah blah blah. So they put me in a 900 division.
Well, you had to be part of the choir or drill.
Yeah, I
or
was in. I had been in flags. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's.
Here we go.
Oh, they wanted me because I was in color guard. That's it.
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Here's the list of the submarine books.
Wow.
Or,
The Los Angeles, which wasn't 07 the last cruise of the
Yeah.
688?
I think it was. The Washington.
We can see
Yeah.
if the Eisenhower's up there.
Yeah, subs don't do books much.
Who's got the time to do that?
Yeah. We'd have I remember we'd have cruise jackets and stuff, but that was about pretty much.
Now, what frame are we looking for? What time frame are we looking for there, you wished?
Oh, I've already seen it. I don't think I'm in it because I was off the boat before they did the books.
Oh.
2000.
And I got medically discharged before I even got to my boat. So I feel like that's why I feel like I shouldn't even be on here.
You still did your time.
I was supposed to do 6 years. No, I didn't.
You still did time. You just you just had your sentence commuted. So
It's not like it was by your choice. I mean,
I do need to go look that up.
If you at least graduated boot camp, and
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
not everybody does.
at least if you could do that. We're gonna
I may
put a
have gotten
line
everybody in-
anywhere. We'll at least put it there.
I did keep getting everybody in trouble with my laughing in ranks, but
I had that problem sometime at boot camp too, so don't feel.
I kept getting the giggles.
There was one time that the COs were chewing me out, and I was just laughing my ass off the whole time. I just could not stop. So I sympathize with you.
Oh, the COs loved me, but I still got people in trouble.
Well, they liked me too. They made me a section leader. So.
Yeah, my company commanders did not know what to do with me because I had really, really long hair before I went into boot camp. But right before I went in, I cut it all off.
Same.
Because I was like, I do not want to deal with it. Well, I said, the only thing I want to deal with is, my job at hand. And I don't want to be fussing around with hair because the bullshit regulations that they had for what was a proper bun and what wasn't a proper bun, I was like, fuck that. So I cut off my hair, and then when we went in and everybody got their hair shaved, I actually cut it a lot shorter.
Yeah,
so,
they did that to me too.
Yeah, which I was
It's like-
totally okay with.
Oh, I wasn't, because I made mine, 'cause like you, I had really long hair prior to going in, and like my you could see it from my depth pictures, like the delayed entry program pics. My hair was way down there. I got it chopped off up above my jawline because I'm like, I don't want them taking those gross scissors to my lovely locks. So I got it, got it cut short, cut it layered, and of course they put me in the chair and cut it even shorter, so it was shorter than everybody else's at that point. It's like, oh, I hate you all.
I went with the boy cut because I was like, you shouldn't see my gender anyways. Let's get this shit done. So, funny story though, is we were doing drills, and one of the company commanders had us doing hair drills, and then the guys would be doing shave drills. So the guys would have their water bottles, shaving cream, and their razor, and they would have to dry shave and go through the motions and everything else. If you were smart, you turned your razor on its back. If you weren't, you cut up your face. And then the girls, what they would have to do is literally take their hair down and then quickly brush their hair and get it up. And it had to be, the company commanders would go up and down to make sure that your shave or your hair was within regulation, and even measuring how thick the bun was and everything else. And then they, right before when we started the hair drills, though, I was like, fuck, what am I supposed to do? So and you know, you don't want to say anything to like stand out, but I'm like, if I just stand here, that'll be like, I should speak up and say something. So I had like this inner fight with myself, like, should I say something or should I not say something? How fucked would I be if I don't say anything? So I was like, fuck it, okay. So I, you know, I got the attention of my company commander, and I was like, "Sir, what would you like me to do, sir?" And he was like, he looked at me, and he was just like, "Secret recruit, blah, blah, blah. What did you just say?" And I'm like, "Sir, what would you like me to do, sir?" He comes storming up to me, like 2 inches away from my face, like, "Are you a moron?" I was like, "Sir, no, sir." And
I
and then
would have said yes, but
it was like, oh, it's like it took him a second to like look at me to like determine what are you gonna do? What are you supposed to do? Because my hair was a boy cut, so it was already in regulation. He's like, "Drop down and give me 50."
You know, I had noticed when I was seeing a Coast Guard boot camp video that y'all do that, because we did that in Orlando, where you would refer to company commanders as sir.
Oh yeah, we had to do the sir man sandwich the entire time.
We did that in Orlando too, but they don't do that in Great Lakes. I learned.
Oh,
Nope.
no, in Navy boot camp up there, you don't call
It's chief. It's petty officer.
If
Yeah,
they were
sir
wearing a
is-
red, if they were wearing a red
sir is
robe,
their
you called them.
commission.
Yeah, but in Orlando, in the boot camp we had in Orlando, if they were wearing a red robe, they were sir.
Oh yeah,
Sir or
you
ma'am.
better get the rank. Yeah, you had to actually know the ranks of the actual person speaking to you to not get either only yourself or perhaps all of the people with you into trouble at times.
Oh, trust me, you had to know ranks too. I was a section leader.
Well, I mean,
One of my people in my section misidentified a rank one time. I was down at division sidewalk intensive training with them the next morning.
oh, we had one smart ass chief come to our bay. They called them ships, but we had one smart ass chief come down with his anchors, but he was wearing petty officer's uniform, so people were calling him petty officer, and he was lining them up, and I called him chief, and he said, "Go get a chit." I'm like, "What?" I didn't say what because that would have probably made me lose my chit.
right.
But if they said, "Go get a chit," I guess I got a reward for seeing the anchors instead of just the uniform. It was because I was ship staff. I had a slight advantage. Maybe it's not fair. I don't know. But you had to, basically every interaction was a test of whether or not you know the rank standing before you. So there was no sir unless they're an officer. If they're enlisted, you better call them by petty officer or chief, senior chief, master chief, whatever. At least that's how it was for us.
Yeah, Great Lakes.
Lakes.
Great Lakes didn't think it's different in Orlando. Orlando, we called them sir. That's why I thought that was neat when I was watching the Coast Guard video where they were about the boot camp where they were calling them sir. And I was like, wow, we did that too. Now it did make things difficult because then afterwards, if you slipped up, then you were really screwed up. They spend 8 weeks ingraining that shit into you, and then you got to break yourself of it right after.
Right. As soon as you graduate, you have to stop yourself from doing it, because as soon as you come in, you go onto your first ship or whatever, and you're like, "Sir, hi, sir," and they're like, "You don't." And
everybody's giving you weird looks and stuff like that.
And I'm like, "Oh, honey, no."
Yeah, but in fact, that picture next to me, the guy to my left, I'm the guy on the bottom row, second from the right. But the guy to my left, he was the one who messed up one time. He got me into, because I was his section leader, and we had the division chief come through as the senior chief, and he was doing a surprise inspection. He was asking everybody questions, and he held up the anchor with the 2 stars, and the guy said lieutenant.
Oh, no.
Oh,
He
no.
tried to get him to get the right answer, and he didn't. And the next morning, I was down at Division Sidewalk Intensive Training with them, getting my ass cycled. And trust me, when a section leader is down there, it isn't fun.
No.
They singled me out because I was a section leader.
Hey,
In fact, he
NA.
showed up at the end of it. We had to beat him in the race at the end of that. So
Nice. Of course. Because why not?
he was a DV. He was a DV too, by the way. Just
Oh.
All right, I have another boot camp story. I only found out about it afterwards. So I knew that I wasn't like up to snuff as far as physical stuff. So right before I went into boot camp, even though I ran track in middle school, I hadn't run track in a long time. I don't know. By that time, I guess it was only like 4 or 5 years. But so right before going back in, I was like, okay, I need to really get better at this and everything else. Well, when I got into boot camp, I didn't know whenever they were like, hey, does anybody play any instruments? And I was like, I raised my hand and they're like, what do you play? And how long have you been playing it? And I was like, I've been playing flute since I was in 5th grade. And so they're like, okay, good. You've been voluntold to go into the band. I'm like, no, I don't want to go to the band. And then as soon as I found out too, is you had to do all of your other stuff. And then when everybody else got their free time to go and like iron their clothes and polish their boots and everything else, I had to go to do band stuff, which I was not a fan of. And then everybody knows when you're in the middle of free time, the company commander is going to come in there once or twice and make everybody go outside and get beat anyways. And I'm like, I don't want to lose that opportunity because I'm like, I need to stay fit. Like I need to be able to pass all my tests and stuff like that. Well, what I found out, I came out like my 2nd or 3rd week in boot camp. I ended up going to the office of my company commanders and I asked him if I could get beat because I'm like, I need I need to get better. I need to get fitter. And I didn't have enough time to do it on my own. I didn't know what all I needed to do. I wasn't really good at all that stuff anyways. And he was like, you want me to what? He's like, really? Go back to your rack.
That'll get you punished.
Right. I got like, but he wouldn't punish me. I was so
No,
bad.
you need to do something to deserve it.
Yeah.
Just asking for it.
Yeah.
No.
He
See,
did not
no.
do it.
See, here's the thing. Here's the thing. When the sub asks for it like that, the best punishment is to not give it.
Right. I was so pissed too.
God damn it, Jared.
But on top of that, what I found out later though was, and I did end up passing all of my quals and all of my physical tests and everything else. Even though I was like a zombie trying to get everything done, but I got it done in the end. But what I found out was, since my dad was in the military as well, he actually knew my company commanders. So he would go up there and play cards with them motherfuckers. And he'd be like, so how's my daughter doing? And they would say what bullshit, that I had done. Like, I'm sure I fucked up on something, and they would tell, and dad would just laugh his ass off. And he'd be like, okay, this is what you're gonna do. And he would tell them ways to fuck with me. I'm like, you motherfucker.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my god. But yeah, that's my funny story. So there you go.
actually, it's kind of funny when I got promoted. When I got made a section leader, actually, I felt like I was getting punished at first. My company commander was that good.
Right. I believe it.
Isn't that
He
how it
literally-
should be?
Oh yeah. It's like I'm sitting there and like, you know, next thing you know, he's like calling, recruit in my office now. And I mean, he literally had a piece of tape on the floor that when you went in his office, you were standing at attention with your toes evenly on that piece of tape. And like I'm at attention there, and he's like walking in slowly, closing the door, walking across the room slowly, and sitting down, and just staring at me for a while, and then finally asks me, "Who are you racking with?" I'm like, "Dog it, sir." And they just quiet for a moment. Then he says, "Not anymore," and he throws the RPO2 pin at me. You're section 2 section leader now. But leading up to that, I'm shitting myself because I'm sitting like, what the fuck did I do? I didn't do anything.
What did I do?
Did any of you guys have your whether it was drill sergeant or RDC or whatever you had, assign you guys like line you guys up, have you guys start singing, and then pick the worst singer to be your A-Rock to sing for the division as you're marching?
No.
Ours did
No.
that. They deliberately chose the worst singer from among us.
That's awesome.
And so everybody, like the other divisions, you could hear them, singing across, or I mean, it wasn't called singing, of course, but for the sake of the audience. But anyway, singing, cadence, and they had most of them pretty lovely voices, strong, everything you want to march to. And then we had somebody who was like a squawk. And the poor girl, I mean, she did her best, and they humiliated her by putting her as the one doing cadence for us, and she was awful at it. She improved, but they did this on purpose. It was the worst thing ever.
Poor thing.
Some drill instructors are just sadistic like that.
Yeah, I mean, I remember one time I got called into the office because one of our company commanders actually, I forget what it was, he got some sort of recognition, and they had all of us in the company sign whatever recognition it was. I don't even remember what it was at this point. But anyways, so way back then, because I was a hippie child, I would sign my name, and the very last letter of my name, I would draw a heart and a peace sign in it, all in one stroke. And it was part of my signature, and it had been that way for years. And because of this incident, I no longer did it. And so I randomly got called to the office, and I was like, what the fuck did I do wrong? And so he goes, "Super Recruit, what is this?" And I'm like, what is what? What is this? Oh, I'm sorry. Like, what do you want me to say? I have no idea. I'm like shitting bricks trying to figure it out. Like, and he points to the thing that we all signed, and he points to my signature, and I'm like, he's like, "What is this heart? Do you have a crush on me?" And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" No, sir, no, sir. Why are you putting hearts all over my award? And I'm like, oh my God, I swear, no, that's my signature. And so he was like, "What are you, some sort of hippie?" And I was like, "Sir, yes, sir." He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "All right,
Oh,
the answer this next time is whether or not you're going to have to do 50 push-ups or not." And I'm like, "Oh God. Do you listen to the Grateful Dead?"
uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I'm like, sir, yes, sir. He's like, you can leave.
Well, at least you got the answer right.
I know, right? I was like, oh god.
That's great.
It turns out, my dad told me this story later, that the guy was like, what is this? And my dad told him the whole story behind it and why I do it. He's like, but you gotta fuck with her. Go call her and see what she does. It was so funny.
For my Great Lake peeps, though, I have to point one thing with Orlando. You see the picture I'm posting right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just to give you an idea of what Orlando is like, half the people in that picture are nukes.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, I could buy it.
You guys
8
had a
people
lot of
and
nukes.
4 of them are nukes. Yes.
Oh,
That's
we
because
didn't.
all the nukes went to Orlando back then.
Oh,
Yeah, because it would save the Navy money. Send them all to Orlando for basic and the beginning of nuke school.
The A schools and Power School were all there as well. So
yeah, I had A school and Power school over by Charleston.
yeah, that's what they moved it to afterwards.
Well, they had two of them. They had the one down south, but then they had the one over in Charleston. Well, not
But they
in
were-
Charleston, but by it.
Yeah. In that picture, there are 2 people that were heading into Nuke MM and 2 people heading into Nuke ET.
All of my MM friends said that I needed to be an ET. You're such a nerd.
Actually, the Nuke recruiter was really trying to grab me for Nuke ET. I didn't want to go for it, though.
One of my MM instructors was trying to grab me for entirely different reasons. But
They really wanted me to Nuke ET.
Well,
I scored a 79 on the nuclear field qualification test.
I didn't take a nuclear field qualification test.
Yeah, we didn't have to take the test.
Yeah, they do because they do a different thing now, and they
No,
score
that's
out.
not why.
No.
It's because
When you score above a 95 on the ASVAB with a high math, science, and spatial orientation, you do not have to take the nuke aptitude test.
they have a nuke aptitude test still.
Well,
but,
that's what I'm saying. We didn't have the nuke aptitude test
That
back
is
then. We had an NFQT. It was a different thing back then, but they did things a little bit differently back when I did.
I'm just saying, me and Jared are special. We basically clept it out of that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying that there was I didn't do the NAP.
Dude, stop trying
I
to take
did
our
the
thunder,
NF
damn it.
Yeah, the NAPT. I've
God.
seen what they do with the NAPT now, and to me that's just hilarious because I didn't get a calculator.
I didn't have one either.
NFQT, they shoved you in with some physics. They shoved you in with some physics problems, a sheet of paper, and a pencil.
That's not even efficient. I mean, it's stupid to just not provide a calculator when you could, because it gets the same job done just more efficiently. So why not use a calculator?
And most likely more accurately.
Most likely. I mean, if you know the equations, and that's really what you need to know, just use the damn calculator. It's a tool. Use it.
It was a slightly different Navy at the time, so.
Yeah, I know. A slightly less efficient one.
Well, it's actually funny. Like I was fire control training now versus then was different.
Yeah, a lot more efficient.
I could do tracking without a calculator, without computers.
Yeah, but I mean, why be less efficient with it?
Well, it was at the time the concept. Sometimes computers don't work. Still have to be able to do the job.
Yeah, but you can still have a battery-powered calculator.
Give me a plotting board and a slide rule, and I can do the same thing anybody can do with a calculator.
You can do it, but it's done more efficiently with a calculator. I'm not disputing that you can do it. I have all faith that you can do it mostly. But give you a calculator, you can do it more efficiently, is all I'm saying.
Submarine Force, we liked backups.
I can do it on a slide reel quicker than you can do it on a calculator.
Sure
Guarantee you. Yep.
Guarantee it.
Absolutely. That's because I'm old.
Positively.
It's one of those times that experience matters. What? I didn't even mean it that way entirely.
But yeah, I remember the nuke. The nuke. They seriously wanted me for the nuke ET, and I remember that point in time in my career when I was absolutely glad that and came to the full realization that I made the right choice. And I
See,
remember
I
it was
didn't make the choice.
when it was for me. It was when we came back from our first med cruise, and I remember like having like got out of my uniform, been in civilian clothes, was heading off the pier finally, after we've been deployed for 6+ months because we did an ORS right after the med cruise, and so this return report. And while I'm going in, I'm looking over to my right, and there's the nukes hooking up shore power while I'm heading off. At that point in time, I realized I had made the right choice.
It's been 15 years, and I'm still pissed at my recruiter because I wanted to go in as intelligence, and he said, "Oh yeah, you can cross train." It's like, no, you fucking can't. But
No.
I was naive, and I said, "Oh, okay." He wanted, and he got me in as nuke, so he got this shiny trophy on his desk, and I got hoodwinked. I, of course, was not in as intelligence, could not cross train, and I was stuck as nuke.
Yep, sounds about
Thinking I
right.
could. So I have a chip on my shoulder about recruiters. I paint you all with the same wide brush. I apologize. Sorry, not sorry.
I wasn't a recruiter now, but I was there. That nuke recruiter was really vying for me. I just wouldn't go for it. I probably pissed them the fuck off. I know that much. But
I
Well,
can't
at least-
imagine that you don't strike me as somebody who would piss anybody off.
Yeah, that's at
you
least
clearly
one
do
thing.
not know me.
At least one thing that's never
Clearly, you
changed.
can't
That's
detect
another thing.
sarcasm.
God damn it! I keep forgetting how many people. So I'll admit I've aimlessly been clicking through the cruise book again. I forgot just how many people I was on board the Kitty Hawk with. That either I was stationed in Jacksonville, Florida with, or in a school with, either as fellow trainees or a couple of my instructors. And people wonder why I got away with murder at times on that boat.
I kept getting in weird situations with my instructors.
See,
Once again, we're silent.
Sorry, I had to sneeze. So, like a conscientious person, before sneezing, I actually mute. But no, the problem that I ran into with that when it came to dealing with instructors and afterwards the couple of the chiefs that I worked for, because my dad was in and actually had retired only a couple years before I joined.
Oh, small world.
Yeah, I already a number like the entire chief section of the nuke community, the East Coast subfleet nuke community, already knew about me before I even got to Great Lakes. As a matter of fact, I had a couple of them straight up ask me after their first two questions, "Hey, is your dad Ken? When are we going to see you in Charleston?" Yes and never.
Yeah, I mean, my dad, when he finally got out, he did 29 years, and the Coast Guard is much smaller. So I ran into a lot of people that had served with him or whatever, knew him, and so yeah, he was a bosun mate. So everybody thought that I was gonna become a BM or a QM. And I was like, nope. Hard pass on that.
Yeah, it's one of those.
I had
No,
a
thank
slightly
you.
similar problem too, running around the subforce because my dad retired as a senior chief yeoman submarines, so people knew him as well.
Why do they always assume that the kid is going to grow up to do the same thing?
No idea, because I was a fire control tech. I wasn't a yeoman, but there's not many yeomen on submarines to begin with, so that's already.
Yeah. I think
There's
we
not
had
as many fire control
4.
techs either, but there's less yeomen than there are fire control techs.
YNC, YN1, YN2, yeah, we had 4.
Well, and we like
Well, he retired as a YNCS, so people knew him.
my dad was a BM, but he didn't get up to Master Chief or Senior Chief before getting out. He wasn't very good at the tests, but he knew his shit. Like, he could rattle it off, but he was not very good at actual tests. And with the Coast Guard, if you don't do well on tests, you're not gonna. I mean, you're not gonna get anywhere.
Yeah,
Well,
it's the
it's
same thing with the
Political
Navy.
bullshit. 'Cause up at the chief level, it's a lot more political bullshit than it is tests. But
Absolutely. And so he got stagnant.
Blue.
Night Blue.
Hi, Blue.
Hi, Blue.
Yeah,
And
see
then-
you guys.
Have a good one. But my dad did spend a lot of time doing law enforcement stuff, and he actually did a lot of work training like Marines and Army as well. But he did a lot of law enforcement stuff. So when I ended up going gunner's mate, he thought that I was going to do like the law enforcement side. And my first place that I was stationed right out of A school was a police department, but not by my choice. And it was over at Trace and Petaluma. And so they thought that that was what I was going to do. I'm like, nope. I mean, I did boarding team and stuff like that, but I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I wanted to teach people how to do the small arms, but I wanted the big guns. So as soon as I could, I signed up for the 76 school. And I knew as soon as I signed up for those, I'd be back on a boat. And so, because the big guns are pretty much all of those, you can't get a land billet with that. So that's how I ended up with that. And so most of my quote law enforcement stuff was relegated to like just armed security type, not actual boardings or anything like that. But yeah, everybody's like, so when are you gonna do the boarding? I'm like, no. No, give me a big gun. I'm happy. I don't want no.
That's
Giggity.
cool though. We didn't get guns.
There's something very, I don't know, something very sexy about it, you know. You just sit there and it's almost like my yoga. You go out there and you shoot. It's like everything else just kind of,
It's the power.
it drips away, and it's just, you know, you have to breathe each time you bring it in. And so it's like every time you have to like.
Well, anytime you're operating a big tool, it can be.
So I think a great thing to end the night
There
with
we
it,
go.
because I do have to call it a night and get some sleep before heading back to work in the morning.
Yeah, I was just about to say I gotta go too.
We start talking about big tools, and the guy's got to go.
Well, hang on, Karis. You're gonna enjoy this one, because we can thank the audience for the last line of the night. And it all stems from what you were just talking about then, Coral.
Okay.
Those situations about playing with a big gun, apparently, those situations are on Pornhub.
Ooh. All right. I'm down.
Well, you heard that here, everyone. With that, it has been an enjoyable night, but I'm still in the midst of a 65-ish hour week at work, so
Nice.
yay.
Well, that'll look really good in the bank at least.
That it will, and the job itself has been interesting. The reason for it sucks, because it was an industrial accident resulting in a death, but the project otherwise has actually been quite enlightening and entertaining. So it hasn't been terrible, but holy shit, sleep is nice. So
Right.
I'm going to go have some fun in bed.
Awesome.
The
Sleep
big
well, have fun. Don't have too much fun.
And good night, everybody.
On that note, good night.
Good night.